Fake. There, we're live now. Yeah, no, I just kind of throw it together, and then it's somewhat unfair. Where also, oh shit, maybe I should invite some people. But usually, people text me or something, say, "Hey, is a thing on?" I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you want in?" And I don't know, kind of first come, first serve, because we can't have more than 3 people, myself included, on. Otherwise, it becomes a zoo. Unless we have like a Chad Elkins, who's there with us in spirit. He's very quiet. He's like a short ninja. You never know he's there. He's very quiet.
Yeah, actually, I was on Forney's stream with Chad an hour or 2 ago.
Oh, really? What'd you guys talk about?
Oh, well, I was shocked to find Chad actually went to school with Richard Spencer.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, he did. I think, was Spencer his teacher, or was he a student?
No. He was a student. He was ahead of him. But what was interesting, the reason that Chad came into the thing was apparently it hit the news that Richard Spencer's wife and mother of his 2 children filed for divorce.
Oh, just recently?
Apparently, yeah. Because Richard Spencer is, a Nazi by the mainstream media, picked it up. And Forney and Spencer have some bad blood. I don't know all the details of it.
Who does Forney not have bad blood with? Name one person that he doesn't.
I'm not going to touch that one, but Matt's a guy with strong opinions. Well, like you. I mean, you pissed off a lot of people, right?
Yeah, but I think Matt goes that extra mile to really, if ever I pass away, I think Matt could be a good asshole. Maybe he'll take the reins back.
You'll pass the mantle. He's younger than you, right?
Younger than me. Yeah, he's got longevity there.
Maybe, but your shtick, you're kind of apolitical. I mean, you're political you're libertarian, but I mean, you don't really subscribe to an ideology so much. You know what I mean? Like, you don't care about like your person's religion or who they have sex with or any of that kind of stuff. And Matt has a lot of strong opinions about things like that. So
I wouldn't even say, I'd say Matt has a healthy respect for it too, because even he kind of ducked out of politics, which is a sign, I think, of a sane, or at least a quasi-intelligent individual. Because I certainly do have a political ideology, but I don't let it rule my life. I mean, I'm a libertarian because, well, that's the correct answer. But people can believe in the false religious if they want. But no, I'm not gonna. If you really got to go to some kind of, like, you have to be a genuine a racist, you'd have to be a genuine sexist, you'd have to be a genuine communist or social, which is way more common for me to detest you or simply have no respect for you. But I'm not going to get up. I don't really get excited or get into that internet drama as much. Like what I always get a kick out of. I'm going to besmirch him here. I like watching it. It's like my People magazine. It's like my Smut or my Grit or Smith, or it's the dirt, the gossip. That's what it is. I like the gossip. I liked watching the 30 Days War. The 30 Years War between the Protestants and the Catholics.
Oh yeah.
I love the 30 Days War between Aurini and Bechtloff, because it was so stupid. It was so petty. I'm like, what are you guys fighting about? Don't you both? Are we going to reenact this stupid shit again? Apparently they were. And
you heard the latest, right?
That Aurini got banned off of YouTube.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. How many years of? I mean, his channel is gone. He had years of content. I don't know how many videos, but I mean, all that work is gone. I don't know if he archived it. I doubt.
Well, that's why I have my best YouTube videos archived. I have all of them backed up on drives. Some of the requests I obviously don't save up. And this is why I back up my blog posts. I mean, it's a good reminder. Like, you cannot rely on these formats at all. And what I really ought to do with my blog is, like, I'll back it up once every 2 to 3 years until there's a critical mass to write a book or, have my best blog. But what I really ought to do is save a Word file for each quality post that I would publish in the future instead of wait 2 to 3 years. But that's why I'm waiting on an artist to get his head out of his ass, which don't even start me down that road. It's been 2 fucking months and this guy can't draw a chick with a fucking hammer and sickle and a heart. I'm like, and it gets back to, you don't understand, we're really busy. And it's like, no, it says it takes him 4 hours. I'm like, well, what the fuck is this 2-month shit? And then you got RJ Jones, who quick draw McGraw. He's really like Spears relieving Dyke in Band of Brothers. You ever see that show? The Band of Brothers.
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's been years. So I don't remember all the characters.
One of the scenes, you got a competent lieutenant relieves a dipshit lieutenant. That's basically it, and that's where Spears is. Well,
the dipshit lieutenant was like the Jewish guy.
I don't know. Dyke, is Dyke a Jewish name? I don't know.
Whatever. I just remember there was a scene in that movie where the Germans.
No, that was Schwimmer. David Schwimmer plays this asshole drill instructor.
Yeah, and they played the joke on him. Remember they?
Yeah. No, that's David Schwimmer, who actually played that character really well. Yeah. Sobel, that was the guy's name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But so I'm waiting on this artist. Like I consolidated all my work pieces for the past 3 years, organized it, put it into a Microsoft Word document, gave numbered pages, got it outlined, have the table of contents. I did it in 1 day of hard work. I banged it all out. I'm waiting 2 fucking months for this guy to draw a fucking pinup. And he says it's going to take 4 hours. I'm like, and he's like, you don't understand. Like, no, I understand why you artists are poor and starving. I understand why musicians and artists can't get their fucking shit together and why teachers think that they have a hard job because you guys have never actually worked hard. Because then here's the other thing is I put together a video today. A Sonny Numoleni is his last name. I hope I pronounced it right. Just to show you how delusional these artists are. This kid's from South Africa. He has an art style. You go to like ArtStation. You don't go to DeviantArt if you want to find artists. You got to go to ArtStation. So I go to ArtStation, look up this, you kind of scan through it like you search comic book style art. And then I find this kid. I really like his style. It's simple, but it's got some character to it. I'm like, I really like this. So I contact this kid. And I say, hey, how much to put this together? He says, bada boom, I'll be, I think it was $80 or $60 or something like that. I'm like, okay, half up front, half upon completion. And the kid banged it out, like R.J. Jones, just banged it out, has professionalism, bangs it out, gets it done. And I'm like, damn, look at this kid go. And, he even had to remind me, hey, I'm halfway done. Do I get my other half? Oh, shit. There you go, kid. Sorry. But then I got some fucking elitist taking his hop along time getting this done. So this book could have been, it's also like this, not to besmirch the person we're talking about with Davis, the reason that I have to back up my blog. But I wrote my book, Bachelor Pad Economics, in a shorter period of time. It took Davis to record it. It took him 9 months to record a book that took me 3 months to write. And it's just like, I just need the artistic, artsy fartsy type. We'll have like a genetic mutation. They'll take a little bit of my blood and DNA and we'll inject it into them. And then they'll get their fucking act together and they'll have a little bit, me and Glendon Cameron, we get the hustle vaccine. We fuse our genes together and we inject it into otherwise very talented artists that have no hustle, no work ethic. And then all of a sudden they understand what a timetable is. They understand scheduling. They understand that 2 months to draw a picture is not satisfactory. But anyway, so I got my book back.
Yeah, have you noticed this is a recurrent? I've noticed this about the artistic type people that they kind of live in their own universe. I mean, like you and I were. I think it's safe to say we're more like analytical, empirical type people. Like
hey, sure, yeah, if you want, yeah.
And I noticed the artistic people. I mean, I admire their ability to draw. Like I can't do that. Like you can't just take a pencil and sketch shit. And I look at something, I can't draw it. I mean, when I draw stick figures.
Right.
But I've noticed a lot of those people, they do kind of live in their own head and they have their own. I mean, they can be frustrating to be around because like you and I, we tend, like if we say like, okay, I'm starting my stream at 5 o'clock. That doesn't mean 5:15. It doesn't mean 5:05 or 5. No, it means 5 o'clock.
Yep.
But the artistic people, they're like, well, yeah, you just said it was on Tuesday. I didn't know you really meant 5 on Tuesday. You know what I mean? They're in their own little world, and when you're dealing with these people, you kind of have to just downshift and realize that that's the speed that they work at. I mean, it's frustrating.
I completely disagree. I just think they need their asses kicked and yelled. I can't know because I had to see a friend of mine give me the exact same argument, and she's kind of more into the community of touchy-feely artistic types. And you can't tell me someone with an IQ above 50 doesn't understand the concept of time, doesn't understand the concept of punctuality or deadlines or budgets and stuff like that. And so she was trying to explain to me, oh, what the Myers-Briggs and they're a QSJQ and some people are an OOPZ. And I'm like, take your fucking acronyms, shove them up your ass. Don't tell me because there's a Z there. That person can't tell time and doesn't understand it. It's way too damn long to take 2 months to draw a picture. No, these people are lazy. They're procrastinators. That's why they went into art. And all they want to do is their art. They don't want to see, like, all I want to do is podcast and write books. That's all I really want to do. But you know what? 75% of the work is, that's only 25% of the work is doing the podcast and writing the books and writing blog posts. You know what the other 75% is?
Preparation.
Marketing.
Oh, marketing.
Okay. Well, not all marketing. Yeah, sure. There's operation. Like I had to go to a bank, get a corporate credit card. You know, there's overhead and maintenance. The actual product itself only takes a quarter of my time. The remaining 2/3, 3/4 is all the other standard bullshit that comes with running any business. And, you know, artists just don't want to do that. They just don't want to do that. They're kind of like, well, that's, and I saw this a lot in banking where you have, you know, truck driver Fred the fuck. Oh, I'm driving truck and I could drive truck better than anybody else. I don't need my boss to do that. I don't need to work for the man. Little do they realize what the man does, like set up LLC, get insurance, scheduling, maintenance, all this other stuff. And so they only want to do the thing that they want to do. And they think that the business management side of it, the managerial accounting side of it is optional. And sure enough, I'd say a good 70% of the reason that, small business owners went belly up or were insolvent when I was working in banking was because they thought accounting was optional. I mean, their accounting system really was, well, there's money left over. It's like, well, that's because we just lent you $50,000 on a line of credit last month. You didn't make that money. That's not one of those dollars is your money. That's our depositor's money that you have right there. So I believe it's laziness and stupidity and conscious. Don't tell me you don't know that it's 5 o'clock. Don't even act like you're that we let way too many people, our generation, every generation get away with being tardy. And, oh, well, you didn't know how to tell time. You know, the big hen, little hen, you didn't get that in the 3rd grade. Fuck off. No, these people are.
Hey, you know, Aaron, I'm not one to disagree. I mean, I'm not as big of an asshole as you are, but I'm pretty close. But I will say an interesting happened. Like, you know, I grew up, as you know, New York on the East Coast, and there's kind of an East Coast mentality when, like, you say 5 o'clock, you mean 5 o'clock,
right?
And when I moved out here to the to West Coast, and I'm not the first person to notice this, by the way. I mean, this is something I experienced in the '90s. When you say 5 o'clock, that means 5 something. Mm-hmm. That, I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, people are really, you know, I mean, it was shocking to me how people were. Because I always saw it as an insult. I said you're disrespecting me.
It is an insult. It's wasting your time.
Yeah, but people out here are like, dude, get over yourself. I'm like, what? We agreed that this time. I'm like, yeah, so what? It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm like, well, then why didn't you just say that? You know. Anyway.
But no, you see, you're not even necessarily disagreeing with me, but by all means, please feel free to disagree because I think people should disagree with me more and make for more interesting conversation. So, like, you're right. Don't yell at me. Whatever. Don't hurt. Don't yell. Don't hit. Like, all right. I wasn't going to hit you anyway. But no, there's an objective standard here. Don't tell me culture. Don't tell me, well, you know, loosen up. Like, no. Why did we say 5 o'clock? What if it was whenever? Why didn't we say around 5 o'clock? Why don't we say between 5 and 6? Don't tell me 5 o'clock when it's going to be 5:05. And the reason, if this was like for something social, like, we're getting together to play volleyball, but you don't need a critical mass of people. But if it's work or production is based off of, or I don't know, you're in war and we're going to attack the hill at 5:01. Well, I thought more like 5:15. Oh, why is your platoon wiped out? Being on time,
artillery barrage at 5:01, not 5:15. You know,
but that's why it's important because there's at minimum it's other people's time of leisure being wasted. At worst, people's lives are on the line, and somewhere in between is no doubt economic production in terms of scheduled time and all that. And you know, this is why Latin America is not the global economic superpower, even if you give them the entire Central and South American continents. Because the mañana, we're not on time. I mean, I remember many years ago in the 90s where
siesta.
Well, not even siestas, you know, 11 o'clock, that's it. But I know one of the problems back in the 90s when things were becoming initially more globalized, the Germans, punctual. The Swiss, punctual. The Brazilians, It's like, well, maybe that's why you're a second world shithole. And timeliness, I'm not even that German, but man, timeliness is vital. If for any other reason, I respect my own time in life.
Well, interesting. Now we're talking about time. I remember I was reading a book about this, and they was saying that that's the one resource that's not renewable, because it's one thing that's finite. You can generate more money, you can generate more energy. There's ways to do that. Time, no. You got a fixed amount of it that's set. And now they're actually saying in DNA. I don't know if you heard this new study with it now that they will be able to tell when your clock is going to expire.
Well, that'd be cool. Then I know when I can start drinking and smoking again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could still check out earlier, but like your maximum expiration date, apparently they're getting close to figuring that out. Which I don't know if that's a good thing, or maybe it'll be a good thing. Maybe this artistic fucks they'll figure it out. Hey, listen, motherfucker, you only got 800 and something more weeks left. Come on, you gotta.
I think that'd be absolutely vital, especially in the realm of retirement planning. Like a big problem people face is, okay, everyone, it's a joke where they say, okay, the arbitrary retirement date is 65. Okay, well, what if you're black? Your life expectancy is not that of 65. I mean, it's less than the white standard or counterpart. If you're Asian, it's significantly more. Women live longer. What if your parents have a lot of longevity? You're going to have a lot of longevity. So they always say, well, you should plan to retire at 65. Well, if your parents live to their 90s, that's 30 years you got to plan. You got to work till you're 75. There's none of this retire for 30 years BS. And so you see a lot of people where they outlive their money. And that'd be a vital thing to know. So if you're going to likely live to 92, the DNA says 92, well, you better be working till at least 72.
Or either that or pick up a smoking habit.
Yeah, or bring it back. Hey, let's make the last 20 real fun.
I don't know if I really want to live that long. I mean, the people say, well, smoking takes, 20 years off your life. It's like, well, aren't those kind of like shitty years anyway?
Yeah, it kind of, well, that's where I have the Smith & Wesson retirement plan, of which I keep getting so much flack for. People are like, oh, Aaron's advocating suicide. It's like, did you read the paragraph before and after? I didn't just write, hey, by the way, kill yourself. And that was the end of the chapter. It was like, if you're terminally ill and in wreathing pain and you are going to accrue $800,000 in the next 2 months just to keep you alive on a machine, maybe a 46-cent bullet might be worthwhile. That's all I said. But apparently, you get people that read what they want into that. These I wouldn't even say pro-lifers or religious types. It was
someone is going to get pissed off no matter what we say. I've just accepted that now, that it doesn't really matter. Chad Elkins is in the chat, by the way.
Oh, good. Chad Elkins is in the house.
Because he was talking about what we were saying. He goes, you should see what I have to deal with as far as millennial business owners.
Oh, God.
Quote, what's a profit and loss statement?
You're kidding. What's a profit and loss statement? My God.
Like, huh? What?
Oh, my God. I had a client, and I didn't even know how to respond on the video because I don't read through all the requests in detail. I scan them, skim them. Okay, it's roughly going to take me that amount of time, and so I charge it. It saves me time, and I could charge it. I'm very, very, very accurate that way. But this guy had sent me a link. I'm like, oh, there's a link to his business. I went to the link, and all this link was a couple links up above, like home, contact. Doesn't have any text saying what this business does. And there's a video there. And I'm like, oh, the video must tell me what this. So I click on the video, and it's a seminar on how to categorize fungus in the animal kingdom. And I just lit into him. I'm like, what the fuck is this? How am I supposed to know? How are you making money? You want financing for this? No one's going to touch this, mother. And I just, then I remember, oh yeah, millennials. This is what the world they think. They don't understand how profit is necessary if you'd like to live and have your business continue on.
Well, it's OPM, other people's money. That's what they're raised on right now, and it's not really millennials anymore. I mean, it's been a cultural shift. I mean, you could argue it goes back to LBJ, where all this government largesse, so people don't they always feel like there's someone else to take care of them. You know, I remember reading what's his name? That guy he wrote the book The Pursuit of Happiness, about that black guy came from nothing and became a multi-millionaire.
Was this the one that the movie that Will Smith was in?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that guy. Okay, yeah.
And his they asked him, like, if you had to sum up, like, what is the one bit of advice to give, and I think I might have even said this before in another Older Brother podcast. He said that all right, well, one thing he said, no one is coming to save you. There's no cavalry.
He said that? Did he say that?
Yeah, he said that.
Oh, that's a great quote. I remember that one.
Yeah. In other words, it's on you. Don't be thinking there's someone else. It's up to you. You got to be the one to do it. And I think we've lived in a society that infantilizes everyone.
Well, there was always. Go ahead.
Well, that's basically it. So yeah.
Well, I remember when I was younger. Now, of course, you're a kid, and when I mean younger, I mean like 8, 9, 10 years old, and you're in school, and they're forcing you to take civics, and you really don't have a concept of private sector versus public sector. You don't know how money is made. You are at the mentality that most communists and Democrats are always like, why don't we just print off more money? I mean, that's the love you're thinking. And the government and business was like this amorphous Oort cloud, and it was going to take care of you because your parents have been taking care of you. The school is taking care of you. The government's supposed to take care of you. You never went into the bowels of the Titanic to see how the machinery worked, how electricity was being generated upstairs, how are we getting milk in the grocery store. You never look into the bowels and the inner workings of an economy. Well, then as you get
the sausage making.
Yeah, the sausage making. And then you get older and you start looking at it, and that's the jump, like, from a real adult, like a real responsible citizen who cares about the country, is you start looking at how it's being made, and you're like, holy shit, it's ultimately dependent upon us. Like, the government just doesn't print off money, and there's no such thing technically as money. It's stuff. It's goods and services. The money is just used to go and move this stuff around so that I can buy milk. I don't have any use for dollars. I have a use for milk. I don't have any use for quarters. I have a use for electricity. And so once you see money as merely an accounting method that we use to transfer goods and services and pay for labor and all that, you start to realize, well, hey, we just got to get everybody to produce to the maximum ability, and we incentivize that with profit and higher salaries and an efficient economy, blah, blah, blah. If you've gotten to that point, you are already beyond about 85% of the American adult population. And 85% of the American adult population is still in this childish infantilism where they just like, well, the government going to tell you I should be taking care of it. They never get beyond asking the question like, well, if I don't ever support myself, who's going to, how is society going to go on? Because if we don't have to work, then yeah, let's just print off a shit ton of money. And the dipshits in Venezuela and Cuba and China and Russia, they all fell for that dumbass bullshit. People who voted for teeth and eyes over in what's it called? Cruzada Cortez or Ocasio.
Yeah, it was in Queens.
Yeah, whatever. So they actually believe in that dumb shit. And then they don't work, and then they wonder why the shelves are empty. So it's not, it's not stage 1 thinking, but it's not stage 3. You're talking low-level stage 2 thinking, like you don't really have to. But yeah, no one is coming to save you. And the sooner you realize that and get off your freaking ass and stop spitting out kids, well, then maybe your life will turn around. But just to get that basic, simple economics, or not even economics, we could call it an Aesop fable. The ant and the grasshopper kind of thing.
Yeah, ant and the grasshopper.
Yeah, I mean, that if you can't get people to realize that, well, yeah, then fuck it. And, right now you hit it on the head. LBJ, once the government just started doling out money, shielding people from the cost of their consequences of their mistakes, they don't learn. They really don't learn. And so and this is why I don't care anymore. I'm kind of like, well, fuck it then. You spit out as many kids. Because what's great is these sheep, these socialists, the people who live and rely upon government aid, it's an issue of how many sugar daddies there are versus how many sugar babies they're supporting. If you got some prissy little white bitch in the suburb whose daddy just, oh, nothing's too good for daddy's little princess, she's spoiled. Okay, but we're talking the top 5% of income earners. That's a small percentage of the population. Or maybe it's a little bit bigger than I think, because I know a lot of guys will go into debt who don't actually have the wealth, but they'll spoil their daughters rotten, their sons rotten too, because nothing's too good for our little princess. So you're talking one breadwinner, one guy supporting two children, right? Which you could spoil your kid rotten that way. But when you have 100 million people all living off of the federal government and state government, there's not that much money per capita to go around. So yeah, you might get some really crappy subsidized healthcare. Yeah, you might go stand in the line at the STD clinic. Yeah, you're going to get tuition reimbursement to go major in some stupid ass shit. And then you're going to get pregnant anyway because you're a dumbass single mother. And you don't understand how penis and vagina works and what that white, what's that white icing? Oh my God, is that more tapioca pudding? You don't know how the penis and vagina and the tapioca pudding work. And then you spit out more kids. They're never going to get the money they need to one, be happy, but two, to even get out of their poverty. There's just too many stupid people outbreeding what the government can tax and take in. And if it goes a little bit more, then the Laffer curve kicks in, and then the rich, productive people just say, fuck it, we're out of here. And then economic growth slows down. So there is this limit, which is not high enough to make any socialist or parasite happy. There's not, yeah, you get your free food and you get this, but you're never going to live in a nice neighborhood. You're never going to have a nice fancy car. You're never going to get what you want. And I think it's like it takes the taxes out of me, but I'm so happy seeing these people be miserable. And they don't know why. They don't know why. And they blame it on stuff, the corporations, the man, the system, sexism, racism, whatever. It's like, yeah, fine. Okay. You keep telling yourself that for another couple generations. You keep telling yourself and looking where feminists end up at the age of 60. You keep telling yourself that, and all you see is wasted lives. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you taking, what's the German word? I'd always mispronounce it. Schadenfreude. Yeah. Taking pleasure in other people's misery. Yeah, you could do that. But I mean, we can do that because we don't have children. So we're kind of like, fuck it. Mm-hmm. I sincerely do feel bad for, I have many friends that actually do have kids, some of them young. And they can't have that same fuck it mentality we do because, their kids these people would die for the children. They don't. So they are invested in the future, not as just for themselves, but, for their kids. And for them, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have had them. I don't know what to tell you. Because
I hate to say this. I mean, there's the obvious people that don't care about their children, the broken homes, divorced parents never married, deadbeat dads, single moms, barrio culture, trailer trash, ghetto culture. So there's the obvious ones. But I hate to say it. You look at divorce rates and just what percentage of kids are outsourced to daycare. The vast majority of parents out there don't really love their kids. They don't. And if they did, they would have thought long and hard before having them. And you got the Christian dipshits the Lord will provide, and they breed out 6 kids they can barely afford, and they go live off of welfare. You got the perfect couple that maybe should, power couple, they make the money, but then they ship the kid out there. There's I would say no more than 20% of the people that that have parents or that have kids actually love those kids enough to do a decent job raising them. So whereas you would say, God, they got to think about it. I'd say 80% of them don't even think about it. They're completely clueless, either because they don't truly love or care about their children, or they're completely ignorant about economics because it was just boring. And, that crazy Clary, he's all crazy. He's always a pessimist. He thought those .coms were going to go belly up and burst in 1998. What a fool. Oh, that Clary, that party pooper, he just looks at math and statistics and numbers. Can you believe that fool said there was a problem with the housing market in 2005? What a fucking loot. And just, I don't know. The more and more I look at our team, quote unquote, the right, the less I can give a fuck. I mean, I know the left is out to get us. I know the left is parasitic. I know I know them. But when you look at your own team, and you seeing them fuck up, I talked about this before, how I wanted to set up not a militia, but like a survivalist thing. Like, we learned how to, that kind of thing. You couldn't even get anyone to sign up. And, this is all the, not Bible thumping, but table thump. We're going to do, like, okay, let's go run for 3 miles. What? What? I'm like, well, yeah, we would have to learn to run, and we have to be in pretty good shape, and it'd be good exercise. But oh no, I'm too tired. And after a while, you're like, yeah, fuck it. Even you guys don't deserve. You guys don't even have. No. Just go to your fucking Blockbusters. Go Netflix and chill. Go get your fucking coupon dinner over at Applebee's. Have your kid run him off to lacrosse. Run your daughter who's gonna suck dick in her sophomore year in high school off to her flippy gym class. Go do it. Just do it. And ignore all this, because I just can't get behind you because you don't care. You just don't fucking care.
Yeah. Well, on that note, maybe
and happy note. Very happy.
On that very happy Cappy note. Is anyone in the? I think we have Sargon of Akkad or someone claiming there to be Sargon of Akkad in the chat. Having
really?
A good time. Well, it can't be the real Sargon because he's
banned.
He's trolling. So someone is. I don't know if it's even spelled the right way, but it looks like it's the right. Sargon.
Yeah, it's the image and all that. Remember my name, mere mortals in despair, for my IQ reaches much. Yeah, it's probably Bechtloff.
That's right. Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy?
Wouldn't doubt it if it's Bechtloff.
Yeah, he's out there fudging with us. But anyway, you guys. Oh, hey, by the way, those who are listening, we do have a little bit of a crowd tonight. We got 38 watching. Hey, guys, smash that like button, all right? And subscribe if you're not already. And super chats are opened. We will take your questions and we will do our best to answer it. We don't have any artistic or autistic people in the hangout tonight. So
how do we know that?
Well, I was assuming you're neither. And I can speak for myself.
I thought you meant in the chat room. I'm like, that's nothing. I meant that's nothing but spurgs and retards over there.
No, I think we have a higher caliber of people in that come to the older brother chat. So I'm guessing there's not too many spurgs. This Sargon guy I don't know about though. Maybe he's just having a good time.
We didn't have Asperger's and autism back in the day. We don't have it now. Neither do any of you.
Oh yeah, no. I have a buddy of mine that's a doctor, and he was telling me everybody wants their they're all trying to come up with these excuses why their kids are fucking morons. So, because everyone wants to believe their kid is gifted, and he's part of a successful practice in the suburbs of Seattle. There's a lot of wealthy people or his patients, clients, whatever.
Sounds like hell. Just sounds like utter hell.
Yeah, and he was telling me stories they all want to put their kids on some sort of pill to make them smarter and do better in school, and all these kinds of things. And he just wants to tell them your kid's fucking stupid. I mean, of course you can't say that, but I mean, it's just it's just horrible.
That gets back to my point. What, you think those are Democrats bringing them to the hoity-toity affluent doctor? No, those are dipshit soccer mom, pearl clutching Republican broads.
I don't know if they're Republican, but okay, they're the rich. Those are the Dems these are the people that live in the gated communities and have private security, and they're saying, yeah, bring the caravan in across the border.
You know what that all is? What the Asperger? Because I saw it. I remember every kid claimed to have dyslexia in my age. All that is a white person's way to claim discrimination or victimhood, and then to get themselves their little disabled merit badge. And then they can claim that because there's a big push about, this must have been 15 years ago now that I think about it, because it was during Paul Wellstone's day, and he passed away in a plane crash. But they were all pushing mental illness needs to be covered under healthcare. It needs to be codified as an actual thing, and da. And all that was a push to say, well, let me see, I come from a rich white background, I'm male, but I don't want to work as much as the next guy. I want to be a lazy fuck off too. So I need something to give me a disability. Boom, mental illness. Oh, my kid doesn't like school. Imagine that. Little 7-year-old Jimmy is bored, surrounded by a bunch of female teachers talking about patriarchy. He can't even pronounce it, let alone spell it. Why is he running around and punching Jim and Frank, and they doing the same to Jimmy? At least, he must have the autism and the ADHDs and the Asperger's and a combination of all three. We got to get him drugs. And my little Jimmy is special and disabled, not because I'm a fucking moron. I'm never around him. My father or my husband was never around to raise him right, or I never knew the father. And no, it's all. So now you got. Remember Fame? Remember the TV show Fame?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my God!
You young people don't remember this, but anyway, yeah. It was a movie. It was a movie that came out, I think, in 1980 or 1981, and they turned it into a television series with more or less the same cast. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, tell people what it was about.
It was based on a high school in New York City that was for artistic people, like dance, acting, singing, music.
Losers. Right.
Yeah. And it was called the School of Performing Arts, if I remember correctly. And it was all about, and it was kind of like this thing, like you can be special too, like that was the message. We're all special, and we all are. It was kind of like the whole you're a unique and special snowflake. But hold on, I have to. We got a super chat from Fernando Covet, 999. Thanks, buddy. He goes here, and thanks, guys. That's all you got. That's all you got. Hey, if you got a question, we'll answer it. But yeah, thanks a lot. Much appreciated, super chat.
That's great. That's awesome. Anyway, I was trying to figure out where I was going with this
fame. All right,
thing.
So what about fame?
So fame. It's those type of kids, but in our day, the fame kids, like the artsy fart, the theater kids,
yeah.
they would account for no more than 5, maybe 10% of the school, and they put on plays, and the guys would be effeminate, and the girls would be kind of kinky. Maybe you wondered, they wouldn't sleep with you, but you wondered. Now I'd say you look at these Gen Zers and millennials, about half the school is that, because nobody wants to go and play football or play basketball or anything. And these are the ones.
So half the school is theater fags. But anyway,
or marching band.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I was the biggest nerd in my school, and even I knew, like, dude, no way, I got standards, man. But these are the ones now, like they're not really going to go on to achieve great things. They don't have competition. They don't have hustle. And so what they do now is like, I'm special. Well, how are you special, little Jimmy? I have a disability. What is it? Hang on, let me pull it out of my ass. Oh, I'm a paraplegic sapiosexual, which is another thing. Is all the different. That's all this is. That's all. It's predominantly for rich little white kids in high school to have some kind of thing they can point to, say, I'm disabled and I need special assistance and money too. Nobody wants to be normal. Nobody wants to like kick ass and take names and be like the superior guy or the superior gal. No one wants to be the best anymore at anything.
Well, it's kind of like the bizarro world, because like we're old enough to remember, like, like now everybody wants to be, you have these like, this is, okay, just give me a second to collect my thoughts, because I really get upset about this. You have these like little kids that I don't even think there was one of them that was even in school yet, and he was already like a transgender or something.
Right.
His parents had, decided this for him, and I'm thinking, this kid is like years away from puberty even, and you're already deciding he should get his dick cut off?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, you can't even blame the kid at that point. Well, I mean, of course this kid's going to end up offing himself. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I mean, come on, what chances does he really have?
Well, and that's another thing, is it's not always for the kids who like, oh, I have a disability. That would hit more in puberty when you want to become popular or you want to gain attention or something like that. But a lot of these parents, these are the parents that have their kids because they view the kids as like a furniture accessory or a fancy car they always wanted. It's a material kid. It's not your son. It's not your daughter. It is a thing. It's a purchase. It's a product. And then, especially if they're warped, every once in a while you hear about the vegan parents that didn't give the kid protein and the infant dies. Well, that's another thing too, where the parents don't have anywhere near the love or care, compassion about their kid as much as they do their ideology or their politics. So sure enough, you get some wackos in there. Here's little 3-year-old Jimmy, and he's going as Jessica. And mom never said, hey, you should not put on heels. And oh, no, Jimmy, you do whatever. And then what, the 9-year-old kid in Denver that killed himself?
Not familiar.
Okay, I mean, we talked about it before, but here was the 9-year-old kid in Denver. It was over the summer. So 9 years old is, I think, the 3rd grade going into the 4th grade. He's nowhere near puberty. Right. And he, over the summer, going into the 4th grade, decided that he was gay. And not only was he gay, he was going to come out as gay in the 4th grade. And it's like, oh, no. Now, I know this may shock you, John, but the father could not be reached for comment in this one.
I remember this now. Yeah,
this is just this fat
Once you
mom.
said that, then because I saw that picture of the mother, and I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah. So, and then any man who went to school, whether you were the pick on or the pick-or-ee, you knew that kid was going to get it. And if you are a parent that loved your kid, you say, you know what, honey, that's really nice. And we'll talk about this later, or we'll talk about your sexuality, but I don't think you really know what you're talking about. In the meantime, honey, you don't say anything at school because that's not appropriate. And maybe you wait until you're, 12 or 13 to do that. But she could not get to twiddling her twat and masturbating enough and using her child. And that's what she did. She used her child to get attention. Like, look how open-minded I am. And that's the cost and consequence. So, I mean, that's the extreme. I mean, if you tell your kid he has Asperger's or autism, the worst that happens is you just dope him up for a decade and then he can't function. That's the worst. But, on the other extreme is the kid merely kills himself at 9 freaking years old.
Yeah, that's really horrific that someone that young would take their own life. Yeah, that's a really horrible story. But like it's kind of like you said, when you see the picture of the mother, you're like, yeah, well, this was going to end bad no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, if that kid didn't off himself, yeah. I mean, the irresponsible, the danger about that kind of irresponsibility when these women having children out of wedlock, or they're having children with fucking felons, like complete losers. Yeah. It's not just, it's the children that are the ones that have to suffer because of the bad decisions that their mother made.
Right. And I hate to say it, I know it's going to sound horrible, but I think the 9-year-old kid was right, because that kid was not going to have a happy life. That kid was at minimum facing 20 years of being lied to, Dre. I mean, he would be 29 before he got away from the house, away from the school, went to therapy nonstop to say, okay, wait a minute. Everybody told me what I was. What the hell am I? To do the self-identity and discovery. I don't think it would have made it. And if he did make it, I don't think it would have been worth the pain and agony and mental torture that poor kid would have to go through.
Probably not, but we don't know. Like, that's the whole thing, because there's so many other X factors that we don't know. Because there are people who do beat the odds. Also, I mean, mathematically speaking, I should be dead a long time ago. Anyway, we got another super chat, $4.99, almost $5 from Jonathan Brown. Hey, thanks, brother. You didn't make a comment. You just gave $5, but that's cool.
This is great. People are just throwing us money, and they're not even expecting us to answer a question.
Yeah, I mean, you could ask us stuff. Well, we'll do our best.
But we had the Elkins Hour, I think 2-3 days ago, which the specific purpose is, hey, we got a CPA. He might know something about finance or taxes or investing. Maybe you want to ask him. And it was pulling teeth. It was like we were presenting to a bunch of elitist 27-year-old hottie girls that thought they didn't have to pay for shit. And people are sending questions like, no, you don't understand how this works. Like, you got to send a question. You got to pay, because Chad bills out, I think, at like $150 an hour or something.
No, probably more than that. You know what a CPA costs? I mean,
well, Chad's pretty cheap. I mean, how good could he possibly be? I mean, he went Notre Dame.
I don't know. CPAs are pretty. We're not just talking about a bookkeeper. We're not talking about the H&R Block guys that took, an evening course. So CPA is I don't know. It's at least it used to be. That used to be because I remember I went to school with the girl who was really, really smart, and she got her degree in accounting. And I remember she was working full time when she was trying to study for the exam, but I remember she failed it the first time she took it, and I was shocked because she was actually valedictorian.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know how Chad passed the CP. I mean, there's a mystery of the universe. I mean, how he passed, I don't know.
He paid someone to take the test for him.
Yeah, he probably wrote the answers on his hand, although the test is like 3 days long, so his entire arm would be tattooed. He'd look like your average 32-year-old woman now.
Yeah, right. That's another way. Kids, if you're listening, and if you're a girl listening to this and you don't have a tattoo, don't get one.
Don't get a tattoo.
And if you have to get one, get like a tattoo that only your husband will ever see. All right, in a place like that. Don't get the tramp stamp.
Something discreet. So
that's okay. Like to get one, like in your, a private place where it could be an inside joke between you and your husband.
How many? Okay, all right. Be honest. How many? Okay, one, you'd have to be on your way to getting married, so you'd have to be engaged for that. 2, you couldn't ever get divorced.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, if you're thinking about getting married, no one's getting married going, "Wow, well, we might get divorced someday." I mean, you think that way because you've drawn up.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
And Chad Elkins has seen it too, especially the kind of work.
Yeah, it's kind of sad when you've never been divorced yourself and you're looking at it like, holy shit. It's just like, hey, do you want to go to Nagasaki for vacation in the summer of 45? It's like, no, no, I really don't. No, I actually don't. How about Dresden? No, I really don't want to go there either.
Yeah, Dresden around Valentine's Day in 45. Yeah, it was a rough weekend there.
DT, what's up?
I'm trying. There's a super chat that's asking a question about NPC memes, and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck it is.
He meant to say NPC.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
I'll explain it. Do you guys need explaining, John? I assume you know.
No, I know what it is. Actually,
okay.
Hold on because I'm gonna have to step away from the mic for a bit. So,
all right, John, do you know what the? I'm sorry, DT. Do you know what the NPC memes are?
What is it? Non-player. What is it?
All right. You need explaining. I'll explain it here. All right. So NPC means non-player character. And if you ever played a video game and let's say the RPG type, there are characters within the video game that aren't actual players. You know, like you go to the store guy, you buy your weapons there, you go talk to someone, they have information. Oh, the troll up in the mountain has the princess, go get her. And so these are not non-playable characters. So
they're robots.
They are robots. Yeah. And they are only programmed to say certain things. Like if you keep hitting the A button, inevitably they just repeat what they were programmed to say because there's no soul, there's no independent thought. So somebody at 4chan had the brilliant idea to start taking an NPC face, which is this gray face with no expression, just dots and a mouth for eyes and a line for a mouth. And they put it over all these famous liberal people. So like CNN has this panel, and they just put these gray faces over it. And then all they did was spew what they're programmed to talk, like an NPC character that is programmed to talk by socialists. Right. And this, it was brilliant and funny. Like they had one with John Oliver, I think, or was it one of the late night dickless shows? Right. You know, like, hey, we're
Trevor Noah, all these.
Yeah, Trevor Noah, those guys. Yes, the dickless wonders. So they put one over it. And all the texts were Drumpf. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's 2018. And then another one was CNN. You know, it says CNN and all the gray faces and orange man racist, orange man bad, vote for woman, you know, that kind of stuff.
South Park was on to this a long time ago when they did the Whoopi Goldberg, whatever that comic relief or whatever show it was. And Whoopi Goldberg went up there. And this was 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And Whoopi Goldberg goes up there on South Park and says, I hate Republicans. Ha 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 ha. I hate Republicans. Ha 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 ha. The whole audience is laughing. So South Park is always ahead of the curve on this kind of stuff. But InfoWars is totally into this NPC meme thing. They're giving away money, I think, for the best one. And yeah, they're really trying to get it going. Paul Joseph Watson, he's really into it. And so I was sort of familiar with it. And that's what I thought he meant was the NPC. But it's interesting when you look up what MPC is, and it's marginal propensity to consume. That's an
I knew it. Darn it, economics.
So you could do Cappy Cap could do the MPC memes, right?
The NPC will be more interesting than MPC. But anyway, to answer John's question, I think it's the most brilliant thing because it is 100% accurate. Yep. And the reason you could tell it's accurate is because it evoked a response out of life. If you were really secure with yourself and you knew you're an independent-minded person, you just dismiss this or something like that. But it's funny because it's true. You look at how brainwashed, I mean, the ultimate hypocrisy is how leftists claim to be independent thinkers, especially college educated. When you take polls and it's like 100% of the students are going to vote for Hillary. Well, but let me guess, you're all in. Really, no, I had a client where he had a kid in middle school and they took a poll and everyone but his kid was for Hillary. And it's kind of like, but let me guess, you all tell them they're independent thinkers and they're not. They're not. The vast majority of people out there are completely programmable sheep. I get not to go too far off the tangent, but it's related. Is I got paid to read the Unabomber's manifesto.
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
The guy is whack. Yeah, I charge an arm and leg. The guy is whack. But
that was long. I read that.
It was long. Yeah, it was long. But he was so right in some regards, like dead spot on about how society, through media, government, education, these people are programmed. They are freaking programmed. And what I want to tell the leftists, see, but there's still a little bit of a soul left in them because it hurts so much. It got this huge response where Twitter started banning things under, oh, it's inhumane, and it's you're acting like you're trying to provide disinformation about the voting date and all this other stuff. So you hit the target. You hit.
Oh the target. Yeah, that actually so hit. I mean, the outrage over that.
Oh yeah, you nailed it. But here's what I want to tell the left: is you're not smart, you're not independent minded. The reason it's so funny and everyone's laughing at you is because it's true. I don't even bother arguing with leftists anymore because it's ultimately when you boil it down to it's I'm lazy, give me other people's shit. And they can that's all it is. That's all it is. That's all politics ever is. When I went to, I've told you guys the story many times before. I would go to parties in Minneapolis. I'd bring computer disks with charts and data. I would show people you're still a racist, you're still a Nazi. No. You're wrong. I'm right. You
did this at parties, really?
Yeah, you've never known this story.
Well, I think I've heard it, but it sounds.
We didn't want to believe it, Aaron. We really didn't. We couldn't fathom it.
I went to this party and I brought charts.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes.
I was at that party. I mean, like after a couple of drinks, and this guy's breaking out the charts and shit.
No, it wasn't. Okay, look, I didn't come in there whipping out my dick and hey, I'm chart man, spin the spool of CDs on my dick. What I did is I went to these parties when I was in my. I can't believe you guys know. I got to tell it because if you guys don't know, then many other people probably don't know. The only reason we're talking now, the only reason I have an online media presence is because of this. So I go to parties in my 20s, right, in the Twin Cities. Because people are programmed, brainwashed sheep, all college educated. Of course, I'm the only non-liberal there. I say non-liberal because I'm libertarian, but they didn't know the difference because they're fucking sheep.
Right.
And so, sure enough, I'd be talking to a girl or this or that, and everything be going wonderful. And then there's like this one dick, I forget his name, but he would always say, oh, he's a Republican. And then it's not the girl that don't want to talk to me no more. Now it's this big political argument where it's me versus a party of 30 drunk, 20-something prissy white suburb assholes who had mom and dad pay their way through college, and now they're at a house party. And hey, that's when espresso was coming out. They had like espresso coffee, and not coffee, espresso icing and espresso this. And like, oh God, how can you, I mean, this was like, how could you vote for George Bush Senior? That's how far back this went, Senior. So to quell these parties when it would happen and to maybe save face with the girls, I'm like, I would start bringing in CDs with data and charts. I'm like, you want to bet? I mean, you get some faux alpha liberal coming, oh, hey, you fucking heard that. Oh, yeah, you want to bet? I'll bet you $20 right now that you're wrong. And then I'd have the CD and we'd fire up the computer and 5 minutes later it'd be ready to go. You put the CD in, you put it in. There's a JPEG. Yep, I told you government spending as a percentage of GDP was 35%. Well, I don't know where you got that data. It says right there, St. Louis Federal Reserve. Yep. Oh, I don't believe, fuck you. You just can't help it. You don't care about people. Anyway. So that then I threw it up on the internet because it was easier to put it on Blogger than it was to carry CDs around because the internet was coming out. And don't laugh, man. This turned into.
I'm sorry, man.
This is I'm
laughing because I know you did it, but keep going. Keep going.
This is the origin story.
The origin story.
If you were a comic book hero, this would be the origin story.
So then instead of carrying CDs with me, which was somewhat cumbersome, I just threw it up on a blog. So if you go way back to like 2004, it's just charts. Like if you go to the first entries, they're just charts. And I started writing, and then the rest is history. But that's how. Anyway, the point is being
that great story, man. It's like that you gotta we should just take that clip and just like, you know, just the monologue you just gave, that story.
The Origins of Cappy.
Yeah, the Origins of Cappy. And if you can find some artists with their shit together, maybe a little bit of artwork. Trust me,
have RJ draw it. Yeah, RJ draw me
or that really cheesy documentary style where it's like reenactment. It's like there's no sound.
Have like pictures of some generic kid pointing to a chart on the wall, and
there's no sound. It's like blurry, and you see this guy having an argument. Fire up the computer.
You have like some guy talking to a girl, and then some Chad motherfucker walks over and call it racist, and then next thing is Aaron pointing to a chart with this is this and production
with the old pointers. What's the old wooden pointer? The wooden pointer with the rubber thing on the end.
Something right at the late 1950s or something.
It'd be great. You get like some old Commodore 64 computer, and it like dot matrix. Like, see right here. Here's some charts. Hang on, it's loading. Hang on, it's loading. Maybe
instead of the old porn pictures, when the internet was first starting, and the picture would take a line at a time, it would slowly load up the naked chick, and you'd see her face first, and then finally a tit. Cappy would be putting the charts up, and it would be slowly going down the chart.
Finally an equilibrium point. I told you it would come.
Revealing the graph.
Yeah, can you imagine him like at the party though, he's trying to explain the Laffer curve, and by the way, most people in chat don't even know what that is, but people like just blank faces of all these liberals who have degrees in like women's studies and art history. That must have been wild parties actually.
Well, what we'd have to also do is we'd have to say based on a true story, so we could have some liberties. And then later that night, I'm actually banging the girl instead of the girl throwing her drink in my face.
Well, the way I dealt with this, Aaron, like instead of doing the charts and and then they end up calling me the racist, I actually I just walked in with a shirt with a swastika on it.
Is that what? That kind of solved it. Yeah.
So it's like there was no pretense about it. I was like, people called you a Nazi. I said, and what, you want to take this outside? They're like, oh no, fuck no. I was like, yeah, okay.
Look at this chart. It's got this. It goes up, and then it goes to the side, and then it goes up again, and then there's another line that goes to the side, and then down and to the side again.
That's the chart. It can't be any more black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
Red all over.
I was like, yeah, fuck this. I was like, yeah, I'll kick your ass, and yeah, this, that, and the other, and yeah, go fuck yourself.
Anyway, so
someone called you a fascist, of course, but it meant that in a loving way. Apparently the contest on Infowars is $10,000.
Ooh, that's good.
So Aaron, hey, I guess I'm assuming this contest though, you have to have some artistic ability. Like you can't just.
You can draw it. It's cleverness, but I don't have time for it. Anyway, the point is getting back to the original requester super chat question. It is 100% true. The liberals today, the social, the leftists, you're all brainwashed. There's not a single one of you that has an independent thought. And the reason you could tell is you're thinking exactly what your teachers told you to think. I mean, I was shocked and appalled when I went from high school to college, how many, there was an adversarial relation. There was at least a distrust between the students and the teachers. Then I got to college and teachers were your best friends. Your professors were your best friends. And then the blind belief in this. And the naivete, and you think maybe anytime I get into an argument with the leftists, you think they might have some data or research to back it up. No, it's all feelings and emotions, even into the age of 32, even in the age of their 40s, even the age of their 50s. And so it's 100%. I love this meme. It's beautiful because now all I have to do is say you're an NPC, and it's true. I don't have to engage in deep intellectual conversation with you because you're not capable of it. You're only capable of regurgitating talking points. You've never thought things through. You probably don't have a soul. And ultimately, in the end, no, I'm being serious. I mean, they might have a soul. They're human. But let me ask you this. How unique are people under 40 that are leftists? I mean, how unique is it that there's a girl who majors in the liberal arts and supports Hillary? They're so fucking common. They have no value. None. Tell me, let me ask you guys this. Anyone in the super chat, you guys come up. What value, aside from maybe sexual if she's hot, what value does your average 24-year-old liberal arts majoring girl have to society? You tell me, does she offer something intellectual? Does she offer something that can't be replaced labor-wise? Does she have epiphanies or thoughts? Can she entertain anyone intellectually? Can she entertain anyone? Does she name one thing of value that she offers that could not be replaced by literally hundreds of millions of other women across the Western civilization?
He's saying, "Come at me, bro." Chat.
What with saying, what?
Come at me, bro.
You're gonna call me a racist or a sexist? Fuck off. That means nothing now. It means absolutely nothing. And the reason there is no answer is because you guys all know it's true. It is a wasted crop. These people have no value beyond what mundane, simple labor tasks they can do, serving coffee or nannying or sweeping floors. I mean, the joke is on them that they wasted 4 years of life, in some cases 8, and all their youth, and crippled their finances well into their 40s to think they're smart, only to still sling coffee and spew the exact same talking shit points that you could have heard Eleanor Cliff talk about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So
no,
they are just gray human beings. They're not.
You know what happened recently here? I've been watching this Eli Roth's History of Horror on AMC.
You would be, yes. I can see you
depressing the fuck out of me because he's making it political. I mean, Jesus Christ, can I just enjoy my horror movies? Can I enjoy the chicks getting stabbed through the whatever and the guys getting their heads cut off and split in two and all the things that I love about horror movies? And they got to ruin it. They basically, the first thing they did was they were talking about the first episode of zombies, and I sort of slept through most of it because it's late at night. And the obvious thing to say about zombies is if you want to draw parallels to today, you draw the parallel to the protesters and to the migrant caravans going across Europe and now across Mexico and things like that. Though that's the zombie horde. What do they show? They show the Charlottesville protests, the 100 or so guys with fucking tiki torches wandering around. That's the zombie horde. No, they got surrounded by the zombie horde the next day. And then just last night they were talking about slasher movies and the whole torture porn, how it kind of transmogrified into the whole torture porn
like
horror movie,
or something.
Saw and Hostel and things like that. And Eli Roth, the guy that's producing the show, is the guy that did Hostel. And they had some fucking cuck come on and start talking about, well, actually the torture porn movies was a direct link to Abu Ghraib and George Bush during the Iraq War when the whole world was criticizing the United States for torture. And I'm sitting there going, you fucking asshole. Can't it just be about horror, about scaring the hell out of you, about gross shit, about kind of, there was, at least in Hostel, there was kind of the ugly American idea. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. But to make it purely political, not something that we all can understand, but just pointing the finger at one side, it just, I hate it when they fucking do that. And that's the NPC stuff. Well, it's just looking at the world through that lens and that lens only. And whatever links you're going to make is through that lens, pointing solely at the right. And it's just like, it's so boring. It's so tired. It's so fucking pathetic. Goodbye. I'm going to go watch Scream the way that I want to watch Scream.
I'm going to go watch Christopher Morales, $4.99. Thanks, brother. He says, hey, Aaron and all the brothers. Thanks for your continual motivation. Working to grind it out this last year in New York to get the hell out to Florida.
There you go. There you go.
But he follows it up. The HR at my school wants us to preach about transgender people, because of course they do. But it's all good because I'm the science teacher and only teach 2 genders based on biological fact. That's right. We're a sexually dimorphic species. And there's nothing they can do. LOL. My man.
It's kind of hard to argue when there's only 2 sets of chromosomes. Although it's great that, Chris, we hope you're doing well post-divorce. And also, good. Is he moving? Chris, text in the chat. Are you moving down to Florida for good? Or are you just going down there for winter? Although I guess he can't. If he must be quitting his job and going down to Florida.
I'm guessing that's how. Well, he said he's grinding it out. He's grinding it out this last year. I mean, I think he means this last year in New York. So I think that's his plan to do that.
Did you hear about the doctor's house in Florida that survived the hurricane?
No, what about it?
Did you guys hear about it? He spent like 20% more on materials to build this house. And it's the only, it's a house on the pilings or whatever, just on the beach there. And it's the only house that survived the hurricane in his area, in his immediate area. And so it got all this publicity because people are looking at it.
Let me guess, he's a rich bastard, right?
But it only costs 20% more to make his house basically hurricane proof. And so the thought is that maybe this will help update the building codes or whatever, so that more houses aren't completely destroyed and people's lives ruined when these storms go through. And where my mind went with this whole thing was the whole climate change debate, and that we're going to have stronger storms and we're going to have stronger hurricanes and things like that. And you know, we got to do all these things that affect the economy and that try to reduce emissions and all this kind of shit to basically reduce the average temperature by a degree tops or whatever it is. When this doctor guy proved that if you just invest 20% more in your house on materials or whatever you're building, we can react to these. If you take for a given that we're going to have these stronger storms, it's only going to take 20% more to build a stronger house. Well, so why do you advance these ideas that will completely fucking tank the economy and just billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to not do anything in regards to climate change? This proves that if we're smart about it, we can react to anything that comes our way. We can engineer our way against anything that nature throws at us, except for maybe an asteroid strike. And I love that story, and nobody's really mentioned it in that kind of way. And I think it's important that we should, because the left is going to come at us and try to make us change our lifestyle when we can just react to this stuff. If it's going to happen over 100 years, we can react to it. We can engineer our way out of anything.
You're talking to an NPC right now.
Yes.
Not me. You're going up to NPC saying, look, global warming, you know, we can adapt to it. Doesn't matter. Global warming happening. Must stop capitalism. You're not getting through to them because they're not get throughable. They want global warming to exist. It's not happening. Or it's not occurring. I mean, you want to talk about sheep. You want to talk about putting on the gray face and just believing whatever you're told. Go right ahead. They don't care. They're not. Again, they're not capable.
I don't think we need to reach those people. I think we need to reach the people that are influenced by those fucking robots and just go, here, 20% more.
But if they're influenced by these damn robots, fuck them too.
Well, I know. I get it.
I'm sick and tired of like lowering the bar and trying to drag the morons with me up this hill. Like, hey, let's go. Come on. No,
I get it. It's not worth your time, but it is a good story to just kind of have in your back pocket to prove. I mean, it proves once again we're right. You know, we can react to these things. We can, build larger dikes. We can build stronger buildings. We can do anything. We're humans. We're fucking awesome. Look at what we can build.
We are awesome. We're capable of it.
Right. We are. The rest of the massive humanity, the NPCs, maybe not so much, but I just thought it was a good story, and it related to Florida.
DT, speaking of Florida, you read Chris's last post.
Let's see. Oh, he had a concrete frame as opposed to a wood frame, much stronger and durable. Shatterproof windows as well. And got the roll down storm shutters. So
there you go.
He's already getting down to Florida, it looks like. So he's getting set. Yeah.
We gotta hook my man Chris up with his own show. Gotta have him on one. This guy seems like he really got his shit together.
Concrete versus wood.
He'll give us hope. That's why we do this.
Although I gotta point out, just for our minority listeners, with the name Morales, I don't think he's Swedish. But notice how the left ain't stopping now for you minorities out there. They're still going to make you take transgendered education now. They're going to make you sit in the sensitive. They're coming after you too. They're coming after you too. Don't think we weren't warning you because we're evil, racist Republicans. We're warning you because they're coming for everything. And then it won't be transgender. Then what's going to be the next evolution? That's kind of, so we went physical characteristics, like visually identifiable things. So female, male, race. Then we're going gender and mental illness, made up or not. You can't really see those. But what's going to be the next? I'm always shocked and amazed what the next evolution in the professional victimhood is going to be.
It's the self-identifying stuff. I've seen it in official like government documents that
like they identify as what, a rock?
Yeah, anybody. It's the bar. The bar now is self-identifying. That if you want to self-identify as a black man, you can. And there's nothing anybody can say about it.
Can I get the hiring quotas and preferential treatment?
I wish when I was raised by a single mother. I wish when I applied for college, I listed myself as black.
Right.
Because I could have just said, I never met my dad. I could have just said, my father was black.
Could have been albino for all you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to,
like Elizabeth Warren, who's like 1/1000th potentially Native American. It's, I guess, South America, Native American.
Well, they had to stretch it too, because she was very specific about her Native American heritage. She actually said she was Cherokee.
Right.
And apparently that's the one tribe that actually, the one tribe that actually has a very specific way of identifying. You have to be I think it's like 1/8 or something like that before they'll officially recognize you. So unlike other tribes, I don't know, like maybe the Sioux and the Cheyenne, they don't give a fuck, whatever. Yeah. You put a feather in your cap, you can claim it and you can get it on the casino action. But apparently the Cherokees are not like that. And they formally disavowed her.
Right. Yeah. They said, stop it.
Is she actually a candidate? She's not a candidate anymore for the Democrat presidency.
They haven't. Yeah. I mean, she was their great. I was going to say white.
She's more white. She's. I mean, the average white person in America has more Native American blood than the Cherokee Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham was joking about that. He's going to be tested and saying he has more, Native American, and they actually stretched the definition. Like technically, they didn't even. It wasn't like even like Indian. I think they said it was like Peruvian or something like that. Yeah. That's as close as they could get her. I mean, she was about as white bread as there is, and they were like really stretching it. And it was 1/1024th.
Oh, good Christ!
Yeah,
I mean, it was really.
Now here's now. Listen up, older brother podcast, giving it to younger people's advice. That. Oh God, I want to use the C word so bad. That broad.
Let's see you next Tuesday.
That Kuahantaha. That's her Indian name, Kuahantaha. We'll just use that now for this. Kuahantaha. She was hired by Harvard because they actually believe that Native American bullshit.
Yep.
So here's my question. If it is codified in a government policy, and this depends on state, federal, or local, but if it's codified that you can identify as what you want, and the federal government or the state government or city government has to recognize that, then can you then officially apply for minority business status and get preferential contracts through the government? I'm being serious.
No, I know. That it was actually just recently addressed. The Trump administration. Well, I don't know about the Indian or the black thing, but as far as gender goes, the Trump administration just came out. Was it yesterday or Friday? I forget which, and said they are only recognizing male and female regarding exactly that. When it came to federal, how they would identify people.
That doesn't. I identify as a female then.
So I think they're doing it by your chromosomes. I don't think they're.
So then the government is hypocritical. Now, I'm no lawyer, but would I not have a court case where it's like you say that you're going to recognize me as a female? Now I am a female. By God, I am a Kuahantaha female, and I am applying for special government contract privileges because I want to supply your horses or some other bullshit that chicks would run a company for. Do I not have a right to say you are discriminating against me sexually because you don't recognize it? Or when it comes to money and then they draw the line?
I think that I'm saying that's what might be next. You are asking the question of what's next. And I have seen it's there's sort of quasi-official government documents where you can join a group if you self-identify as this. And so it's just one small step to, well, that's how we have to recognize you legally. I mean, if it's you can join this, cooperative group of America or whatever, as you're self-identifying as that. I mean, there's that one. What's the one guy's name? He self-identifies as black. That I can't remember his name.
Not Rachel Dolezal. That's
Rachel Dolezal was the woman. But there's the other guy, Shane something, or
Sean King.
Sean King, yeah, he's whiter than me, and so I think that could be where it's headed next. I mean, we're already seeing the transgenders basically dominate in women's sports. We're already seeing that.
That's great. I fucking love that, man. That's the best.
So
hey, keep voting Democrat,
doing some MMA fighting in the women's division.
Right, exactly. And so I think it's only a matter of time before the pressure, like you said, hey, brothers, brothers, we weren't telling you this is bullshit because we just didn't want you to get the benefits. No, they're coming after you next with some other group that's going to say, hey, you're oppressing me, or hey, you're not recognizing me for my own humanity and the way that I see myself. And so I think that the self-identification thing, I think, could be next. Could be the next shoe to drop.
Not to interrupt, but I have to get this out because it's an outstanding observation. To everybody listening, regardless of your gender, race, or sexual preference or whatever, let me explain to you why the left is a threat. Okay, it is not right now. The left is dividing around racial, gender, because it's visually identifiable and you can claim racism, and then mental illness lines or sexual identity lines. They're doing that because then they can say, oh, I'm a victim and I need money, or we sympathize with you in your plight, so vote for us. Okay, so it's kind of a vote for money sort of deal. But what the left in general is doing is they're going to criminalize any kind of behavior of productive people so that they have a reason and rationale to take your money. That's basically what it is. Or to give them preferential treatment in society, be it college admissions, contracts with the government, hiring quotas, et cetera, et cetera. The left is coming after you if you're productive. And they will find I don't care if you're a disabled, lesbian, black woman, if you have more money than the other lesbian, disabled black woman, they're going to find a reason to come after you.
Yep.
And it just happens to be that while we were alive, the lines were originally concocted around a race and gender. And this arms race is going to continue to engulf more and more traits of people like, oh, well, soon it'll be zip codes. Well, you live in this prestigious zip code. Well, you've got to pay this tax. Oh, you have, it could very well be, what % white or Asian are you? Well, according to the racial tax reform of 2047, you get to pay this rate. It's going to happen.
Have anybody here read, or maybe in the chat, have ever read Harrison Bergeron?
No.
Nope.
All right. Well, anyways, a short story by Kurt Vonnegut, but it's just takes place in the future, dystopian future where total equality has finally been achieved. So the way they do this is with something called handicaps. So like if you're very strong, you have to wear like all these extra weights on your body. If you're good looking, you have to wear like an ugly mask. If you are highly intelligent, you have to wear these like zappers in your ears that go off every so many seconds, depending on how high your IQ is. But you can read the whole story. It's only like a 4-page short story by Kurt Vonnegut. Harrison Bergeron. You can Google it. You can read it for free online on a bunch of different places. But that is what.
Did they make a movie out of it yet?
They made movie versions of it. But
good. I don't have to worry about
that. The movies had nothing to do with it. Let me put it this way: it's about as long as reading a Cleary blog post. It's that short.
It's 4 pages, Aaron.
So did they make a movie out of it?
No, the movie is not. The movie has nothing to do with the short story is so short. There's not enough material to make a movie out of it.
Oh, okay.
Right. They made a movie called Harrison Bergeron, but it was nothing like the short story because there's not enough.
Okay, all right. So anyway, everyone's handicapped, so everyone's equal.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give it away because it's 4 fucking pages, and if you're that fucking lazy,
which I am,
then fuck you. But read it. Read it. That was a great story. I actually wrote a paper on it when I was a freshman in high school. But anyway, Harrison Bergeron.
And they're sort of doing that, with the tax system. I guess they're sort of doing that.
Absolutely.
With affirmative action, they're not actually hooking things up to us physically yet, but
give it time.
Yeah, exactly. And with Ancestry.com and all these, like how Elizabeth Warren had her genetics tested. I mean, everybody's given their DNA to these companies, and they've got them. You basically give your DNA to these companies, and they've got it forever, and you're in some kind of database.
They actually caught it. They caught a killer that way, actually.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't even his DNA. It was a direct relative.
Yep, exactly. And so they've got the database going. They've got Facebook's got the facial recognition database going. I mean, we're all going to be categorized eventually. And like you said, Aaron, it's going to be smaller and smaller and smaller differences.
It'll be
that they're going to focus on. They're going to focus on those small different. Oh, you got this gene, which gives you an unfair advantage. And so we're going to tax you more. We're going to give you gene therapy to deaden that. I mean, that's the whole idea of lobotomies in the past, right? Is that you had people that they didn't know exactly how the brain worked, and these people were sick or mentally ill or whatever, and instead of trying to help them, they were just too much of a burden. The technology wasn't there yet. They'd scoop a part of their fucking brain out, right?
Well, hold on. I got to draw the line here. Are you saying the psychology profession used quackery and quasi-substantiated techniques in medicine? I mean, next thing you're going to say is that boys are acting like boys and they're going to drug them so they act like girls.
Yeah,
I don't believe exactly right.
that. I can't believe we're gone there. That's just too much. I can't buy that. I can't.
It is interesting how we look at that like lobotomies. We look at that with horror nowadays, but most people don't look at drugging kids the same way. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. You're permanently fucking up their brain to make your life easier in dealing with them. It's the same thing as a lobotomy, really.
Yeah, now actually it's coming out like these drugs are very dangerous because their brains are still growing. So it's not the same as giving these drugs to some. I think the brain doesn't completely form to your like roughly 25.
God. Have you seen 30-something millennials? I mean, the millennials are now in their younger 30s. Have you seen them? Have you seen the Try Guys?
What does that mean?
The Try Guys is like these BuzzFeed reporters, and I don't think they're gay. They just, I mean, you can visually see it. You can look at them and you're just, okay, take your average dipshit. Okay, they've been drinking craft brew beer and not paying back their student loans. They wore hair buns. They got tattoos. All right, you think of a 32-year-old millennial now. Are you picturing like a Kirk Douglas ripped body?
No, you're talking about like the androgynous kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm looking them up right now. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's sad when any one of us by ourselves could take all 4 of them on in a fight, and you're like, yeah, I can win it. Like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I can. I'll take my scraggly little 148-pound ass, and I'll kill them all.
And without working up a sweat. Like, you'll still need a trip to the gym later.
They look like the Wiggles or something, right? Wasn't that a show for kids? I was too old by that time. Wasn't it the Wiggles? Where there was this group of guys that would ride in some red car. I mean, that's what they look like. They look like a children's show people. Like people that would host a children's show because they're so non-threatening.
Well, they look pretty pedophile to me.
There's some of them here. Yeah, they're not.
Got a kid or two in their basement.
Hey, Jimmy, want to see the inside of a van?
No, they wouldn't even. They'd be more Michael Jackson-y. Like, hey, let's go lie in the bed. It'd be nice.
Have some Jesus juice. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the end result of where these drugs go. Because they were never, not only were they never allowed to go out and be men and play and develop into young boys, young men, I can only imagine what the drugs did, forget mentally, but physiologically to their bodies. I told you, this is 9 years ago, 8 years ago when I was in Wyoming. So these kids have got to be in their mid-20s now. I don't know if I told you when I did jujitsu.
No.
I did jujitsu for like 2-3 months in Wyoming because there was really nothing else to do during winter. And I'm a smaller guy. I'm only 5'8", 5'9", 140, 150 pounds. So we're in the jujitsu class, and the only weight class I had against me were high school like freshmen and sophomores, because everybody else was either too big or too tall or both. And you would spar with everyone to learn technique and everything, but when it came to weight class, I would be going up against these freshmen, sophomores in high school. And it was not fair to them, but they brought it upon themselves because they never took it seriously. And I could also simply overpower them. So they were my same size and height, but I had so much more muscle. And I wasn't even a particularly muscular guy, that instead of using technique or getting into an arm bar or doing a move or getting them in a chokehold, I would just overpower them. And there really wasn't, you wouldn't become a better jujitsu fighter. They weren't learning either, but they weren't really putting any forth the effort. Now then, if I went up against Bronk or anybody who was 30 years old or older, particularly 6 feet tall and a 220 pound, they just beat my ass with technique and strength. But these guys are now in their 20s. It's like, I should not have been able to just simply grab a 14 or 15-year-old boy, throw him down on the ground and give him the tap out in like 45 seconds. It should not have happened. But they just have no muscle. And I guarantee you, wouldn't doubt it, Dad wasn't around, probably on some hood drug or something else like that, and certainly never hit the gym either.
I think it's the soy.
I was thinking, I didn't want to say it because it's been done to death, but yeah, the soy. I mean, and it's whole idea of like demonizing masculinity. I mean, whoever came up with the expression toxic masculinity should be shot. But anyway, we got 999 from Gino Ruffalo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, buddy. He goes, look up the Ancestry.com TV commercial about the Africa.
Africa?
Yeah. I looked it up. It's been on TV. Yeah,
what is it?
I saw that. It's actually both sort of We Was Kings type of thing, but
we
also
Kangs and shit.
We Was Kangs and shit, and it's also woman power. So it's a twofer. It's a double douche. And so the commercial is I guess it's some queen or something coming in. Is it an American commercial or is it a commercial in Africa? No, this is an Ancestry.com commercial. Right, but is it starring African people, like they have the accent, or is it an American commercial with American blacks? I'm sure it's American blacks.
Oh, okay. I thought you watched it.
Be a tribe, yeah, and there's no sound really. It's sort of a narration thing, I think. Right. And then
hang on, John, let him finish.
It's this woman figuring out that she's part that or something and being proud of it, and she's also part Irish and part this and part that, part everything, And
sure, yay,
yeah. It's I get it. I get kind of. I get the idea that you go far enough back in time, and we're all related, right? I mean, we're all related. Right. You go far enough back, we're all related. And I don't know how many generation it is. There's some statistical analysis where, the tree has got branches and it's got roots, and at some point they intersect way back in the past, and we're all related. Mm-hmm. And so I get that. I get getting across that, we're all, but this like taking pride in it thing, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I mean,
would you like me to explain it to you?
Make yourself something. I understand. They're lazy. They don't want to make themselves.
They don't want to create their own legacy.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't want to create they want to inherit someone else's and not be their own unique thing. And so I get it that they're trying to say, hey, we're all we're all in this together. You know, we're all related. We're all brothers and sisters, blah, blah, blah. But just it hangs its hat too much on that, I think. And there's that other Ancestry.com commercial where it's the black lady that's really ugly. I mean, she's got like, I don't know what she's got wrong with her face as far as a skin condition or freckles. I mean, you don't usually see black people with freckles. I don't know. This chick's got something going on. And she's like 1% Swedish. So it shows her taking a, you know, in one of those hot tubs in the mountains in the cold.
Not a government check.
Doing the Swedish thing. And she's doing all the, you know, she did her ancestry test. So she's doing all the things that her blood says she is. And it's getting really pathetic. It's getting, it's past the point where it's useful. It's way past the point where it's useful.
Have you seen the South Park spoof of this?
No.
So it's this Whitey McWhite guy that ever whited. He's got the glasses. He's like, I took my DNA test to find out what % minority I am. Turns out I'm 2% black. And then this guy walks by and says, what up, my nigga? And then there's another white gal says, like, I took my DNA, you know, white, blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, I took my DNA test to figure out. Turns out I'm like 1/100th whatever Hispanic. And the guy's like, hey, Amy. He's like, don't oppress me, you bastard.
But that's the self-identifying thing that we were talking about before, is that will be the excuse where people will say, well, I want to be that 1% of me. That's how I'm going to self-identify now. Don't you dare say that I can't check that box on the census. And then
that's part of my genetic heritage.
It's part of my genetic heritage that I want to self-identify now as a black man.
Well, and I'm telling every younger brother and sister out there that's listening to the Older Brother podcast, son of a gun, if you get your DNA tested and you find out you got some fraction of an amount, that's what you list. Because if they're going to play by these rules, you might as well take advantage of every possible thing you can get. All right. You claim affirmative action. I mean, if here's what South Park is. I don't know if you figured out the formula for South Park. South Park is where the parents and the adults are fucking insane, and simple child innocence rules the day in the end. And and the kids are the vehicle by which they save the village, or they save the town of South Park, because the kids are the only ones that are sane in that thing. And if the parents and the adults that are in academia and corporate America and government are going to get their dick in a blender about what % race or ethnicity or whatever it is, fine. They got the money. They're in the powers of institution. You want to play this stupid game? Let's play this stupid fucking game. So if you do take your DNA test and you find out you got just a smidge, you run with it, man. You freaking run with it.
Yeah, hey, they set the rules, you know, play by them. You know?
Well, that's sort of, I mean, that's using the left's tactics against them too. That's basically Cloward Piven. It's overwhelming the system. If all these people got their Ancestry.com results and say, oh, I'm this % Asian, or I'm this % whatever, and they start marking that on the census forms and on the entrance applications for college and on their job applications and all that, and they've got a reason. They've got a legitimate reason to, hey, check out my ancestry results.
Make your enemy live up to their standards. They're all for diversity and bullshit. Say, no, I am diversity, and you don't dare assume my gender or my race. Get it right up, shove it right up their ass, so you can have your fist come out their mouth.
Right. And that'll break the system. It won't be able to function then, and you know, eventually it'll be okay. We're just gonna have to, you know, that can't continue, because then we all are equal. They want equality, and so we all say, okay, we're all black. Now we're all equal.
All equal.
What are you gonna say about it? You can't say anything.
One thing that kind of saddens me, though, back when I thought I was Irish, which turns out not to be the case because I took my stupid DNA test and I crushed my spirits forever, is I like the flaws, quote unquote, of your entire race, you know, or whatever your ethnicity was. Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think Irish?
Red hair. Really?
That's the first thing that comes to your head?
Drunks,
right there. And they freaking own it. We own it. It's not like I'm a drunk and that's because I'm Irish, but there was an element of human flaw in that. Like, yeah, we're drunks and we get in fights all the time, you know?
Right. Yep.
And you know, the Italians, all right? What do you think about Italians? Gangsters, mafia. And they, of course, earned a place in American history with it. The shady gang, bibbity boppity boppity boopity. The South Park episode where it's like skipping ahead of Italians in line. Did you see that?
No.
One of the funniest bits of cartoon is just these two non-Italians, and there's all these Italians. They're all dressed like the Fonz. They got their hat. And these two non-Italians start skipping ahead of the line of the Italians. As they skip ahead of each individual Italian, each Italian goes, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, hey. And then the other guy says, hey, yo, Copernicus, why don't you get yourself to the back of the line and stand there with your shirt and have a sandwich? You know, it's just... And
the mafia invented the lottery. Speaking of Mega Millions, you know, the big 1.6 billion. That's thanks to the mafia. The mafia invented the lottery in America.
But now that we've placed victimhood on it, you can't take these endearing flaws and I wouldn't say qualities. What would you call them?
Foibles or
foibles. Well, I don't know if alcoholism. I mean, some serious flaws in your ancestry. Say, the fight. We like our sombreros and our tacos. You know, you can't take that and joke with it. Hell, you can't even have Cinco de Mayo now on college campuses because of cultural appropriation. It's like, well, what the fuck was America for if we weren't going to culturally appropriate everything good from every culture that came here?
Right.
Well, did you see James O'Keefe? The first thing that he did before he got his start, the guy that Project Veritas. I think it was when he went to Rutgers University. He petitioned the government, not the student government of the administration, to stop serving. Because he's Irish. What is it? Potatoes? Lucky Charms. Because he said it was offensive to his eye, and they like took him seriously. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop that. And he like filmed it, like with a hidden camera.
See now here's a perfect example. The liberals are going to claim they're not NPCs. That is totally an NPC thing. NPCs don't get jokes or humor. Liberals don't get jokes or humor.
Right.
The left can't meme. Yeah.
God,
exactly,
they're just
the left can't meme.
Bunch of miserable fucks is all they are. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be these assholes. Oh my God.
I mean, they don't know how to party with charts. I mean, they just don't.
Tell me about it, right? God almighty, look, it's in color. Look, pie chart. Hey, baby.
But they can throw one hell of a gay pride parade. I'll give them that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, it's not even a gay pride parade anymore. They can't say that. It's
what is it now?
It's just pride. It's like they had to take the gay out because
wait. You're kidding. They took the gay out?
Yeah, it's just a pride parade.
That's too exclusive. That's
what,
just
like
just one letter of the LGBTQI whatever. That's just one letter. Yeah.
No, I'm serious. It's just a pride parade. They used to be gay pride. Now it's just pride because
you're right.
You know what that reminds me of is I was playing poker down in Hot Springs, and there's a fair amount of Indians down at Neck of the Woods because there are a couple of reservations. And Joe, and I remember Joe and his brother were real good. They're both from the reservation, and they'd always complain. Just Joe was a good mathematician. He'd win more often than not. Anyway, so we were talking, and he was talking about like powwows and how you never wanted to have an intertribal powwow because the Cherokees would fight the Sioux, and this is among the kids and teenagers, is because they still took pride in like, oh yeah, we're Cherokee or we're Ojibwe. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, nope, man. If they find out that there's another people from another tribe, they got all this pride in their tribe. I'm like, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Now it's the same thing. The gays are gonna fight the trans over what they name a fucking parade.
Guys and dolls.
It's in things. We should totally come up with a new thing called It's in Things. Have a bunch of androgynous, amorphous type of people up there.
Well, you know what? There's a real life example. You're talking about that tribal thing, but one of the problems, I found this out by listening to Stefan Molyneux, a guy called in, I believe he was from Sweden, and he actually worked in one of those like group homes for refugee children that were from Africa or the Middle East or whatever. And one of the big problems they're having to deal with is that the Arabs won't have anything to do with the blacks. The blacks won't have anything to do with the I don't know, the other group. And he says they're extremely tribal, and like they didn't even consider this.
No shit. Wait, are you telling me refugees from Africa are tribal?
Yeah.
Really? Fuck. You mean the Indian tribes are tribal? Holy shit, man.
There's a great back when I was a Christian, there was somebody that some famous Christian guy that was sort of funny, giving a talk. You know, they're a dime a dozen, right? The guys that do the little talks that people pay for to have them come talk to them or whatever. But this guy was talking about how even Christians are like that, where they will go down the laundry list of things that you believe, and it'll be, you know, are you post-trib, pre-trib, you know, all those kinds of variations of Christianity. And if they disagree on anything, then that's where they'll divide and they'll fight each other over that little fine point in Christianity, whether you're going to go to heaven before the tribulation or after the tribulation, or, you know, or there's a rapture or not. And so it's just, I think it's just innate in humans that we like to feel distinct, I think, we like to be a part of a group and yet feel distinct at the same time. And so that's why we fight each other. That's why we split up into our groups. And that's fight.
Why I have no time for that. I mean, really, I'm on this planet once. I'm going to be meritocratic. That's about the only thing. Right. Do you work and support yourself, and do you pursue excellence? That's all I want out of the people in my clique. And that's the only team or club I want to belong to. But Mike, you have no idea well, shoot, Bechtloff and Davis, they have the 30 days war every 3 months. They're always warring every quarter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's October, time for Davis and Bechtloff to go at it. But yeah, you get into the Protestants. I mean, Lutheran, Wisconsin, ECLA, Missouri Synod. You got Pentecostal. You got Episcopalian. You got Baptist. You got Reform. Oh my God, it's just, you know, choose your flavor. And then you have like, hey, we hang a gay banner outside of our church, and there's a female pastor here. We're the anything goes church. Oh yeah? Well, fuck you. We're the more than anything goes church.
We've got a pastor who is a porn star, baby. We got the porn pastor.
Oh,
I think there is a chick that's a former porn star.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, you were here. You guys want to do some fan mail?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Aaron, I just want to give you a free brief testimonial. Thank you for the consultation and guidance. It was money well spent. After your consultation and talking shit over with a few close friends, I've been doing better. Haven't gotten all of it knocked out yet, but it takes time and constant work. I'm optimistic of what is to come. I've also bought and am currently halfway through Reconnaissance Man. It's a good read with some pretty good ideas that I intend to use once my vacation time stacks up. Anyhow, I just want to say thanks, and that if you're ever so fortunate to be in the Detroit area, hey, man, you are fortunate to be in Detroit, huh?
I think there was a Sark on before that comment.
I think deadly serious. Like, fuck Vegas and fuck Florida, man. I want to be in Detroit in January. And if you want to grab a beer, hit me up. Respectfully, Alex. Well, thank you very much, Alex. We'll put that. I'll go into the box of mementos. I ever tell you what I'm going to do when I'm in a nursing home?
Read all these,
but then I'm also going to watch all the TV I've never had time to watch. Like, once I went to college, I pretty much stopped watching TV. So I'm missing out on like 2 decades of The Simpsons. I don't watch Family. I mean, there's Gunsmoke, Rawhide, all those old Western shows. I'm going to binge on those. And
talk about back to the whole Eli Roth ruining horror. I watched the Treehouse of Horror Simpsons here just what was it, on Sunday night or whatever. Mm-hmm. And fucking Brooks, whatever the guy's name that does the show, I can't remember his full name.
Brooks?
I can't remember. He's one of the guys that's the main producer of the show. They've got, for the Treehouse of Horror, they got their fake names, right? They'll have their name and then they'll have some funny thing in between. And his was even scarier than Kavanaugh. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Do you have to fucking ruin Treehouse of Horror now, Simpsons? I mean, I get there's political humor on the show, but they're usually pretty even-handed about it. But that was just like, oh, God.
I might as well bring this up. I got this in the mail. New author, very well-timed book by Randall Bentwick called The Pence Principle. Lessons all men must learn from Ford Kavanaugh. I have it right here. I haven't read through it. I was going to do a review later.
Well, somebody's already written a book on it?
Yeah, right. I got right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like South Park turnaround. That's
it's a short read, and it's a short read. And what I've read of it, because you know how much I like to read. And I'm like, do you have it in audiobook? He's like, no. And you can tell he's like a rookie. He's never posted before, never wrote a book before. It came out well.
Just happened. Why would it be audio already? I mean, he wrote a whole fucking book in like 3 weeks or whatever it's been.
My buddy Jim Fear, unfortunately, the guy who did my audiobook, Jim Fear, he's the guy I go to. He had a seizure, a bad one. Broke a vertebrae, and I've like, holy shit, dude. So he can't record. But no, if I had Jim Fear, he could bang this out in 3 days. He's that good. Jim Fear 138.blogspot.com, by the way. He also has a podcast and a blog, and I'm sure in his recovery, he'd appreciate it if you guys went and visited his site and just maybe gave him some well wishes or something like that. But no, I'm a third through it. It's not that big of a book. It's 126 pages. It's basically you follow the Pence principle. You don't have women around. Right. You don't. You record everything. And he goes. I like how he goes into what he calls weaponized women. How they're formed and all that, but yeah, the Kavanaugh thing, I don't, that pissed me off more than than the average news stream did, just because of the violation of presumption of innocence, and just shows you how brainwashed people are. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna believe this old Kuantahaha.
Sounds like a Cthulhian, like a H.P. Lovecraft monster. Yeah. Kuantaha.
With her assistant, Teeth and Eyes.
Eyeballs and teeth. Yeah, eyeballs and
teeth.
Alexandria Cortez or whatever.
Yeah. No, that made me. So I was like, dude, I'll help you with that, no problem. Of course he paid, but I'll be doing a review of it later. Next fan mail. This is from Brandon. Brandon writes, I watched your videos back when I was 16 or 17, which is the perfect time, by the way, to start tuning in and reading my books. That we can't help you at 26, 27, but by God, we can help you when you're 16 or 17. That 10 years does make a difference. I watched your videos back when I was 16 or 17 and wanted to major in economics or finance, and have decided to pick accounting instead. However, I just entered my 4th of 5 years, needed to get the CPA, and was going to do a second major in finance anyways to get the 5th year of credit, since I figured it was cheaper than doing a master's in accounting. Even if it wasn't very employable, I could possibly learn something for my own personal financial management, and maybe it looked good on a resume if I ever want to be a CFO or corporate FP&A analyst. I don't even know what that is. Especially since I did find the principles of finance courses useful with the discounted cash flow analysis, time value of money, loan calculations, etc. Finance is a very good knowledge to have. It's not going to land you a good job, but it does help out with your personal finances. However, I'm currently taking the next course, Intermediate Financial Management, which I thought would be the most practical compared to investments and financial institutions and markets and research, and realizing just how useless it is compared to my managerial accounting course and presumably future accounting courses like cost management and financial statement analysis. There you go. You can tell employers realize this too, because the school's accounting club each week has recruiters from different companies advertising their jobs and internship postings, and I always get emails from accounting departments about companies asking for applicants, while the finance club is completely non-existent in terms of companies. Outstanding. I knew I saved this for a reason. I decided to do just the master's in accounting to specialize in management accounting and accounting data mining analytics. I think a lot of people likely major in finance when they are really interested, when what they are really interested in is management accounting, which is much more useful simply because they think accounting is only audit, tax, and financial reporting. So I plan to hopefully specialize in that, and my accounting systems analytics professor gave me an email to someone looking to hire for that. Well, thank you, Brandon. I'm glad that you switched and avoided finance and economics, and you are now in accounting. That too goes into the memento box.
If you want to make money, anything having to do with money makes money.
That's wrong.
Isn't that a good rule?
Finance is everything to do with money. Economics is everything to do with money. It's those are horrible degrees. Horrible. The knowledge you learn is very important. They make you, if anything, a great citizen if you take the time to study economics and finance, so that you learn about the bowels of the Titanic. You learn how an economy works. You learn how society accounts for its production, and you pay for taxes. It helps you in that regard, but the only place you can work with a degree in finance is banking and insurance, and which is just cocksuck USA. and corrupt. You know, people say, oh, you couldn't get in. No, I got into banking. I worked in banking. I was there. I know what happened. And to prove to you that it's a bunch of incompetent fucks, what happened during our greatest recession? Who caused it? You know, it wasn't the teacher industry. It wasn't the miners. It was bankers. So you don't want to be in finance. And in economics, that's just worthless. That is the most worthless. It's philosophy. So again, it's good to know as a citizen, but all you're going to do is go work for a government or an institution to claim to have, you know, to demand more money. That's 95% of economists' jobs now, is to come up with an economic rationalization, read lie, as to why the government needs more money or your institution or your department needs more money. That's all economics.
But then they make a ton of money doing that.
If you get a doctorate and you're high enough up and maybe you got some programming skills, sure. But by and large, the vast majority of economics, certainly bachelor's degree, you're not going to do anything with that. But masters and I mean, look at Paul Krugman. I don't believe for a second Paul Krugman believes half the shit he writes. He writes that because he knows he gets paid for it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. John Maynard Keynes, they went with John Maynard Keynes and not Mises because John Maynard Keynes says, well, we should just spend more government money. And the politicians couldn't come quick enough when he said that. I mean, it was explosive come when he said, we just need to spend more money. So, I mean, they're just whores. All economists, professional economists, quote, professional economists, they're just whores. Every once in a while, a bank might be smart and hire an actual economist to keep tabs on the economy and the global goings-ons. But the vast majority of economists, especially if you're employed in academia or the government, you're just whores. That's all they are.
Right, yeah, they lie to get money.
Right.
Yeah, which is just what you want to do. Right.
Well, you know, as I get older, I can't. Paul Krugman makes more money than me. Oprah made more than all of us. Yep. Oprah don't need that 1.6 billion lottery. You know what I could use? I could use some super chats here, though. We could almost break the record if we had more super chats. It's been a pretty good cleanup here, gentlemen. We made some pretty good money.
Oh, by the way, Christopher Morales, who gave previous super chats, he says, case in point, my dad got his degree in finance and is a cop, yet will make more money retired than actually working.
Yep.
And actually, a lot of buddies of mine now are retired cops. They all retired at 40 or 41. They all went in. You can't do this anymore. But anyways, I don't know if Aaron, you guys know this. So the way the pension scheme used to work in NYPD is your pension was 80% of your last year's salary.
Right.
So what you did was, if everybody knew that was going to be, the expression was putting in your papers. I mean, you were going to be retiring that year. So the union had it is where you could cash in your sick days. So if you didn't take your sick days, you would get paid for those. And you would max out all your overtime, right?
Yeah.
So your last year of your salary would be like almost double, because you know they have like double time. And so you'd work the New Year's Eve shifts.
Sure, holiday pay and double 2 1/4. Absolutely,
yeah. It's all a union. So what they did was, so they would end up making a fortune their last year, and that 80% that they were getting was actually higher than their normal pay.
Mm-hmm.
And now they had to do away with that because it was literally bankrupting the city. So now I think you have to work 25 years, and what they do now is they average it out to your last 3 years. So you can game it, but not as much.
I am very pro cop. I like cops. Most of them. Every once in a while you get a douche, but for the most part, I'm pro cop. But one thing, and this is a baby boomer. This lands right at the feet of the baby boomers. I remember when I was younger, and like I was thinking about FBI, CIA, and maybe becoming a cop, and they were, for obvious reasons, very stringent on your application. I mean, you had to go through a lot of qualifications and all that. And you wouldn't even get to the washout stage. You just never hear back from them. You know, it was very much like applying at HR. And so it inevitably became to the point, you know, Clinton was scaling down weapons spending or defense spending. We don't need any cops, go away, no cops. Well, now these baby boomers, they're finally retiring as cops, and they don't have enough cop applicants to fill the roles. And now they're getting desperate, but they won't get rid of these insane application standards. You know, just to become a beat patrol cop, they got these psychological tests. They try to trick you. I got a couple buddies who went into the police force, like, my God, they're dicking around. I'm like, no, this is what I did. They're like, aha, you have passed the test. You know, like the trick and play and all that. And I'm like, you know what? You fuckers made it so hard to get into some of these industries. You protected your little racket. And now that these people are dying or they're retiring, now you can't fill the roles. But now you're going to keep these same insane high standards just to get in. It's like, fuck you. You know, another thing they're complaining of, the millennial boys apply. They're not passing the physical.
Right.
Oh, we can't take you because you're in your 40s. It's like, do you want a guy who can actually run and hold his own, or do you want limp-dicked millennial Matt there who has noodles for arms, like because of a fucking arbitrary number? Meanwhile, I can out bench press, run, whatever else. So it's that the cops. It's just kind of like, you know, I'm all for them, but man, the management has got to wake the fuck up to the reality.
That's hilarious that they lowered the standards so that females could be firefighters and stuff. And now they're going to have to lower the standards for millennial boys, for millennial guys.
Well, actually, it's no joke. I know that a lot of this is in the military where the guys, the recruits are in such bad shape. They can't do, you know, they can't do the basic shit that you could do in boot camp. I mean, it's gotten that bad where like, kind of like what Aaron was saying, that these kids, they have no, you know, they have the weight, but there's no muscle in there. It's just fat and whatever. I mean,
well, I went hiking with a military buddy of mine. He's retired, and we went down to Colorado River, and I'm like, I asked him, I said that thing where they got rid of the grenade toss, did they do that because women can't throw, or was it because of guys? And he says, no, it was also because of the guys. I'm like, you're kidding. He's like, no. And so like, I pick up this rock. I'm like, this is about the size of a grenade, and I chuck it. I'm like, is that far enough? He's like, yeah, that's far enough. And I'm like, fuck, you can't throw it that far. So I think what's going to happen, what's going to save America, it's going to be the Gen X army. It's the last vestiges of us old. We'll be in our 40s, but we can beat the shit out of guys half our age. And we'll be grizzled and pissed off and angry. And to quote, and then to quote Bechtloff, one of the brigades within the army will be called the Ironic Brigade. And it'll be the most sour, pissed off, angry Gen Xers ever. And we'll have a Bulbasaur on our flag.
We'll be the shock troops.
Yeah, we'll be.
No, I was laughing when you said that grenade thing because there was actually a meme, like a GIF meme of a female female soldier doing the grenade toss, but she only threw it like 3 feet, and it was a live grenade, and everybody had to run over. Yeah. I don't know how you'd Google it under, but oh my god, I couldn't stop laughing. It was just, she only could throw, like the girl throw. And
it's like kind of like a shot put throw. They use their chest instead of actually slingshot in their arm.
Yeah, and everybody just ran. It was hysterical.
Do that side by side with Obama doing the first pitch.
Oh, did you see that video? John, you might like it because it was New York cops. It was these two fat, like they sprayed on their pants. These two fat black female cops in New York, and I think they were trying to arrest a guy. It wasn't violent because like he was resisting arrest, and they're trying to arrest this one guy, and he's just like throwing him around, and it got so funny. People were filming it, like there was a crowd of people watching and laughing at the cops. Have you seen that at all or no?
I think I might. Is that where a bunch of civilians actually took the guy down in the end?
I know if the civilians took him down because after a while the civilians were cheering on the guy, so that it leads me to believe like that. No, they were. It was kind of like Rocky V, where the Russians are cheering on Rocky at the end of the thing. No, it was probably, who knows? He obviously didn't murder anyone. People weren't going to go and help out the cops, but they were just, you could have played the circus music, and then I think the people were laughing at the cops because they couldn't subdue this guy.
Well, that's another danger of the female. Well, I just wanted to say something about the cop thing before you went off the topic. I forgot it and I just remembered it again. Do you remember there was this huge push, like when the Black Lives Matter thing first came out, they wanted all the cops to have the body cams?
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm not kidding. Now this happens where the ADL is actually suing police departments to stop filming because they're not liking what they're finding out.
Right.
Well, too bad for the ADL then.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. But they were finding out that that it's not racism, it's not that, and just to dovetail on that point, I don't know if any of you saw or heard about the debate between Cenk Uygur, or whatever he is, from the Young Turks, and Tucker Carlson.
Oh, no,
is this recent or what?
When did that happen?
That was this weekend.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
And anyway, but one of the really interesting things in the debate was Tucker Carlson. Ever since he quit drinking, the guy's IQ is just skyrocketed. He's really, because he used to be a real fucking moron when he was a real neocon. But
yeah, he's solid. He's solid now.
Yeah, he's really solid. And he was talking about Cenk Uygur brought up this thing about Black Lives Matter, and yeah, that's what I call him. And he said, "Oh, that's something we really need to have a conversation about." And I'm just paraphrasing Tucker Carlson. Basically, was kind of what we're saying is like, yeah, I'd love to have a conversation too. The problem is people on the left don't have conversations. You just yell at us. You just call us racist and Nazis. We'd love to have a conversation, but you don't do that.
I hate that whole let's have an honest conversation about ... whatever it is. They don't want to have an honest conversation.
Well, that's when you bring charts to the party.
Yeah, you get to. Anyway, that was it. But I just thought that kind of was in line with what the topic of today was. But go ahead.
Alex Jones does a great Cenk Uygur impersonation, by the way. He basically does like Klingon speak. It's really funny. It's really funny.
Where can you see him now? Now you have to go to alexjones.com or what?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. He's still on. I got the Apple podcast app, and he's still on there. It still uploads his stuff to the podcast app, so you can find him. You can find. Yeah, he's not on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, no, that's where I used to watch him. But
yeah.
Well, hang on. I know this is going back an hour and a half ago, but John, so what's the deal? Davis got banned by YouTube, 3 strikes in one day, and he was out, or what?
Yeah.
Really?
And he was on there. Well, you've known him longer than I have, Aaron. I mean, how many years of content has that gone? Yeah. It's all gone.
Any speculation why or who? I mean, because that's the fear. Is someone just gets a burr in their craw and says, "Oh, I'm going to do 3 strikes, get 3 people to," and I'm kind of surprised that the algorithm is that weak that you don't like three complaints and some as mere as a complaint takes down the channel.
I gotta say something for anybody that's listened to me, DT Black Brigade. I talk about voting's useless. Don't vote. It's bullshit. Blah blah blah. This year. Get out there and fucking vote. Fucking vote against these evil Democrats, this Democrat filth. I just heard about, I didn't know that Davis got his channel taken down. These cocksuckers are pulling out all the stops to win this election. They are silencing people, getting rid of free speech, shutting people down. 2 full fucking years of nonstop propaganda and attacks against Trump. This is the time to get out there and put your check mark on the side of the ledger of good, side of the ledger of freedom, side of the ledger of against this fucking insanity that's going on. So I reject what I've said in the past about not voting. Get out there and fucking vote. And it pisses me off to hear that somebody like Davis got his channel shut down too. It's just, this is insanity.
It's and it's beyond politics. I don't care. Like, John, you know who this is, but DT, you know, Keith Elliston, he's a local Minnesota politician. I would honestly say, I think he hates white people. He hates America, and he loves socialism. We could pretty much safely say that about, in his heart of hearts. He'll never admit to it. But he's just a rank leftist, and he's running for office here. And like Al Franken, another Minnesota politician, he got accused of some kind of sexual assault. And if you read through it and you go through what the media has told us, you know, you have to go down to the police department to get the police reports. I don't believe this woman in half a second.
No, I don't either.
And as much as I hate Keith Ellison, I'm more afraid of a world where someone could just falsely accuse you of something and there's no court of law, there's no presumption of innocence, and there's no evidence that is required to prove your innocence or your guilt. And I reach out, I offer an olive branch to what few non-NPC Democrats are out there. Maybe there's 5 or 6 of you that are old school union Democrats who've actually worked a real job. Or maybe some of you Democrats, maybe some of you girls out there, all 5 of you listening saying, wait a minute, how come I don't have a husband who's cooking and cleaning for me with my 6-figure job? All I have is debt with my sociology master. Maybe you might listen. Maybe you could exercise some critical thinking skills and say this really has gone beyond politics the way the Democrats have acted with this Kavanaugh bullshit. Yep. And if you want freedom at all, because I told you they're coming after you if you're a productive member of society. They're coming after you. So if you want to stop this, I would almost say it's not even a vote for Republicans as much as it really is a vote against the Democrats.
That's exactly what it is. It's a vote against the filth. It's a vote against the left. Yep.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Aaron, that even what happened to Al Franken, I'm like, he got a raw deal, and Keith Ellison's getting a raw deal, and I hate those two guys. I fucking hate them. But it's like, you guys set the table. We're playing by your rules now, and you're going to have to suffer the consequences of the rules that you've set. I mean, you're a part of the side that says you must believe the woman no matter what. Okay, then that's the way we're going to play this game. Unless you want to come over to our side and join our team and be a part of us. Yeah,
freaking adult. I mean, really, take politics. What do you like having the presumption of innocence? You know, you think they'd learn with Trump being in office and the nomination through the Supreme Court. They obviously did not learn. It's like, no, we get to play these rules. We get to play this game now. We get to play this game now, and it's not good for either side. Don't really, it's basically. I'd like to look at us being non-leftists and the working left, the union left, the labor union left, those type of guys, or women who just, they just want to help out the little guy, but deep down inside, they love their children and their husband and all that. I'd like to point out that though we're warring as Democrats and Republicans, you got to realize we're warring like the Federation and the Klingons. And now the Borg has arrived. Now, do you still wanna? Exactly. Hey, maybe some white people don't like black people. Maybe some black people don't like white people. Maybe the Asians hate the Jews and the Jews don't like the I. But hey, by the way, did you see the fucking Borg show up?
You see the size of that cube?
Maybe we just set aside we could get back to killing each other later, but maybe we ought to deal with this guy with the fucking circuit board attached to his face, huh?
Right.
Maybe we ought to deal with Nancy Pelosi and fucking Feinstein and these Nazis right over here. But, if you want to call me a racist, that's fine. You can call me a racist all you want. But you know what? Let's make sure you still have the right to call me a racist. How does that sound?
Let's take care of the hive mind first, please.
Well, there's a theory that Matt Forney put forward like a couple of weeks ago, and why he thinks that there's not going to be this huge blue wave. And his theory is that no one, Republican or Democrat, wants to live in a world where someone can dig up something or accuse you of something you did 36 years ago, and which there's no corroboration for at all. It's
in this book. He even highlights it here, like, you're going to believe a liar about something 36 years ago, and in a yearbook, no less.
Yeah, and that could derail your career, or I mean, that's what it's come to, and some theories are saying like even the Democrats are going, whoa, I don't like where this is going, because anyone could just do that.
He without sin cast the first stone, and I guess the Democrats are without. I bet you if we went and dug up Dianne Feinstein's old moldy vagina, we'd find some fucking dirt up there.
She had a communist, Chinese communist spy, working for her for how many years?
Just until recently, right? Until like the last.
And this guy was spying for the communist government. I mean, she should be arrested for treason.
Right. Well, did she knowingly have it there, or probably? I guess she hates the United States.
Well, she found out. They found out, and she kept them on longer than she should have because the optics. So yeah, but I mean, how much? She should be fired for incompetence.
So she's using the excuse that she kept him on her staff because she didn't want to look racist. Is that what she's saying?
No. The idea that he was a spy, like they didn't. I don't know all the details.
You know what?
A lot of it's actually classified.
Yeah.
What's funny is given China's current political state, he probably dragged her to the right a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
He probably did. It's like, whoa, lady, hang on. We didn't even do that over in Deng Xiaoping's day. What the fuck? Hey, lady, don't you want your people to eat? holy shit. Reporting back to his masters, dude, let's not do that ever. No, that was crazy.
Yeah, we don't have to invade. They're going to destroy themselves.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Do we have anything left in the super chats?
No, nothing. No new super chats. A lot of activity in the chat, but no new super chats.
Right. Well, thank you for everyone for the super chats. We'll never get to the articles that I wanted to talk about as we normally do, but I will be getting to that in the Clary podcast this Friday. This is sponsored by The Quintessentialist. Go to thequintessentialist.blogspot.com. Probably easier to look that up. OrionsColdFire.com and AlaskaChaga.us. Check him out if you want to get yourself some mushroom tea. We already did fan mail. Please subscribe and like if you guys would. I appreciate it very much. That does actually help out with the algorithm and everything until we get banned. We did the super chats. If you'd like to donate beyond super chats, you can. You could go to olderbrother.com/donate, where you have the option to donate through PayPal, Patreon. Neither of those get you anything in return, but if you do want something in return, and this is why I strongly recommend you guys do, is go to my Amazon affiliate program, also at olderbrother.com/donate. You can click on the Amazon banner there and do all your shopping. That's it. You don't have to sign up. You know, everyone overthinks this. Like, oh, well, I don't want to sign up. It's like, no. You just go shop. Just click on that link. Do all your purchases through there. Get into the habit of doing that. And when you buy it, I get a commission. And then also I added a new page to the Older Brother site called Manly Shit. So on the menu, you should see another option that says Manly Shit, where I took some really cool Amazon stuff I found. And it's manly, and you may actually want to buy it. So you can check that out. And then finally, you can email me at olderbrother@yahoo.com. If you have questions, or send articles there, because I get articles. Don't send articles to my asshole consulting account. Send it to olderbrother@yahoo.com. We can bring that up if we ever get around to it. Gentlemen, where might we find you? DT.
Blackbrigade.org and happynihilist.net. I haven't done anything at all.
Of course not.
I've started in a holding pattern here until the election, and that's my new excuse.
Oh, you got a job now.
Yeah, I do have a job, but I think this election is basically a turning point. If we're able to hold on with this kind of propaganda, nonstop 2-year assault on Trump, if we're able to maintain the House and maintain the Senate, that is a huge victory, and it might completely change the way that I think about humanity. So we stay tuned. We will see what happens November 6th.
Oh, you have hope. Oh, you fool.
Yeah, I know. I have a little bit of hope. Sorry, I do.
You're gonna blow up like Bechtloff had a great co-host. What was his name? Undertow. Great voice. Worked in radio. Could also record books very well. And he had hope too. And I think he broke. He literally broke. And now he doesn't do internet anymore. And it's very sad because he had a great skill. I even kind of yelled at him. I said, don't give me this. I think he claimed he had like social anxiety disorder or family. I'm like, fuck you and get your fucking ass up and don't give me this shit. And that didn't work. But yeah,
no, I've already been broken though. I mean, I've already been broken. That's why I started Happy Nihilist. I mean, I've totally dealt with completely being just a misanthropist, nihilist, whatever. And but this, man, if humanity comes through here with 2 years of nonstop attack, that's what it's been, nonstop attack, and with shutting people down and deplatforming people and getting rid of Alex Jones, if all of that happens, if they throw everything at us like they have, and people are able to see through it and do the right thing, I will admit that at least I'm wrong about. Yeah, at least there's a majority of people that are worth it. I don't think that right now, but if that happens, I'll have to eat some crow.
Yep, you kick that ball that Lucy's holding over there. You can have fun with that. John, where can people?
My eyes wide open. My eyes are wide open.
John, what's your YouTube site, which you have not put up any interviews with recently, which upsets me because I get tired of listening to Bechtloff and Forney and European history podcasts.
Yeah, it's John Steele Show on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at John_Steele99.
Good, good. All right, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out my stuff at captaincapitalism.blogspot.com. If you need direct help, contact me at assholeconsulting.com. And then we have my books. You can find that on amazon.com. And then a final plug for this book, which I will get and finish later. The Pence Principle. Lousy bastard didn't have it in audiobook after 2 weeks after the nomination went through. Yeah, I'm kind of impressed he did come up because it's been out. I've had it for like a couple of days. But The Pence Principle, Lessons All Men Must Learn from Ford Kavanaugh by Randall Bentwick. And you can find that on Amazon, of course, out there. All right, we'll see you guys later. Toodles.